Up, and it's the beginning of the most important day in an angler's life. The Super Bowl of bass fishing, the ultimate event in the sport of bass fishing, the Bassmaster Classic. Today, on the famed Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 25 hopefuls with their eyes on the prize. There are two sets of rules at work here. The rules of this competition and nature. Both can be cold, leave you longing for the big one that got away.
Oh, no, no!
Or tossing back the little one on your line. After yesterday, so many masters are gone. But still out there, that's right, the catch that could land you a crown. 25 would-be kings over the teeming fisheries of Pittsburgh, a wide-open field of competitors ready to bend the river to their will. On this, the final day, anything can happen. That's a law of nature in the Bassmaster Classic. Yes, in fact, anything can happen. Take a look at this scene this morning. Pittsburgh, PA, a city of bridges, among other things, and our ESPN coverage. The Citgo Bassmaster Classic, presented by Under Armour, continuing for the next 4.5 hours here from Pittsburgh. What a great city. There's a shot of one of our anglers heading out to the spot where he's going to try his luck today and try to be the #1 angler in bass fishing. What a great sports town. Heinz Field, PNC Park, the home of the Pirates right there. We have a great vantage point to watch the greatest event in all of fishing today. Our live coverage again going on. We are going to have you out on the water. We're going to show you so much fishing today. This will truly turn bass fishing into a spectator sport like never before. We've got a great vantage point on top of the Lawrence Convention Center, right over the Allegheny River. There we are right there. We got so much to see, so much to tell you about today, and such a great event we have set up for you today. If you were a hardcore bass fishing fan, you had to set it up. The three guys coming into the lead today, the three guys on top, you couldn't write it any better than what we've got. We've got Aaron Martens, Michael Iaconelli, Kevin Van Dam on top. We got Mark Menendez in the seat providing the great analysis. Mark Menendez, I'd like to introduce you to Citgo Bassmaster Tour angler, former Classic competitor, and his buddy right there, Barkley, taking note of everything that's going on in the Allegheny River out there.
He certainly is. He's always watching what's going on in fishing. He's probably got more seat hours in the Classic than any other Labrador going.
That's exactly right.
But we've got to watch two things here today, Tommy. We've got to watch consistency of our anglers. That is what's brought them to the top, and the chance to catch a bigger fish. One cast is what's going to make the difference. Anglers that are looking for those bigger fish are going to take more risk, but they could have more reward. I know you're going to tell us what kind of casts they're going to be making, what's going to be the possible pitfalls for the guy who would be king of the world of bass fishing. We got so much to hit on today. All right, what's going to take you out to the playing field right now. What a playing field we have, of course. Three Rivers, it is a Pittsburgh thing. We take you to Southwest Ohio, a place that's so big on the outdoors, so big on professional sports. The Bassmaster Classic is truly the intersection of the outdoors and professional sports. And there they are, those three rivers, the Ohio, the Monongahela, and the Allegheny. They come together right here in downtown Pittsburgh at Point State Park. Let's look at the Allegheny first. The Allegheny is approximately 14.5 miles with one lock. The fishermen can go up there. It's been a consistent player here today, Tommy. Lots of fish being caught there. The Monongahela is the story of the tournament. 41 miles, lots of fish being caught there. It's dominating the tournament. It's 3 locking dams that they can go through, and then the two rivers combine to make the old, slow Ohio River. 2 locks to go down, and that could be the promised land, Tommy. The lower end of the Ohio is noted for larger largemouth bass, but they have not shown up in our competition this weekend.
All right, a guy who's got to do some catching up. You would think the largemouth is what he's got to go after. There may be some guys going down the Ohio. So far, it hasn't been an Ohio River game.
No, it hasn't. Look at there. The Monongahela has been the #1 producer. 138 fish caught in the first 2 days. Those are keepers there, Tommy. The Allegheny has contributed 26. The Ohio was the one that I really had thought that the cards would be played on and the big fish would come to.
All right, well, it hasn't played out that way. We'll be watching the Mon. We'll be watching all three rivers today. As I say, we're going to be all over the place, and we've got such a cast of players. And right at the top, probably the 3 most visible anglers throughout the season, the past 3 seasons on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. Let's see how they're ready for today.
I'm just going to keep it the same as I have. If you try to change, if you start thinking about what's happening, things can go, out of pressure. You got. That's why I don't think about the title. I don't think about nothing but fishing. That's the most important thing.
Today's the day I need to step it up. I've been operating on 100% all week. I need to turn it up even more. So I'm excited, and I can't wait to make that first cast.
I'm so excited about today because all you want to do is be in contention. I'm less than a pound from the lead. It's a Bassmasters Classic. It's the biggest thing there is in the sport. I'm ready, man. Bring it on.
Game face on Kevin Van Dam in a big way. He's always got it, but this looked especially intense today.
It certainly did, and I'm always frightened when I see Kevin looking like that. He's ready to go, Tommy. You know, these guys have all been winners before. Not necessarily the Classic. Aaron has been second in a couple Classics. So they know what's going on. They know how to handle the emotions. They're very settled. They are looking to make sure that they don't make any mistakes. One mistake here, Tommy, is going to be huge because ounces are going to decide the outcome of this event.
Well, of course, it was all set up by the first 2 days of competition yesterday. Saturday was a huge day on the Three Rivers. A lot of moving. Of course, that's the positioning day. That's moving day where you have to set yourself up for perhaps not your Classic win. And our Angler of the Year, Citgo Angler of the Year, Aaron Martens had a share of disappointments, but boy, he caught a lot of fish all day.
He's been catching numbers of fish, Tommy, going through tons of fish, 20, 25, 30 a day, and that's what's giving him the advantage to get those additional keepers. He's caught more keepers in the event than anyone else.
Michael Iaconelli, 2003 Citgo Bassmaster Classic champ. When Mike Iaconelli catches a fish, everyone in Pittsburgh knows about it.
That never give up attitude of his paid off because these fish right here that he's going to catch were afternoon after he had left his best places. He was hustling with a few minutes and put those fish in the boat with very little time left on the clock on day 2.
Does anyone want this Classic more than Ike?
I don't know, Tommy. He is such a competitor. If we were fishing for 50 cents, he would be dancing and screaming just like that.
All right, that's what you call going Ike right there at KVD, Kevin Van Dam. This is his biggest fish of the day.
Like I said, Kevin is targeting bigger fish. Look at there. That's a good 15-inch smallmouth in the 2-pound class. A 2-pounder here right now, the way the river's fishing, is extremely difficult to get.
A man where everything's coming together for. He's won 2 Classics, one of them the lowest scoring Classic of all time. It was on the Ohio River. George Cochran, could it be his day?
It certainly could. You can't shake George up. You can't get him to dance much, but he's pretty happy when he can get one in the boat in such a tough tournament like that. George always comes to the top on tough events.
All right, we're going to take you to the leaderboard as it stands right now, completely up to date. Kevin Van Dam has taken over the lead from Aaron Martens. He's got one good keeper in the boat today with 9 pounds and 2 ounces. It is Kevin Van Dam, but they're all locked right in there. Gerald Swindle, as a matter of fact, has moved up again ahead of Mike Iaconelli. We've got Jeff Reynolds in the mix. Davey Hite has moved into the top 10 too, all the way up to 7th place with his 2 keepers. A lot of changes. These are unofficial scores. We have to stress that to you. There is one official weight and only one. It happens at the weigh-in tonight, coming your way, 5:30 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Let's take a look at some of the others. Bubbling under the top 10 is Tim Horton. David Walker, a bridesmaid many times at the Citgo Bassmaster Classic.
Zell Rowland told me this morning he's going to make a change, Tommy. He's going to gamble on the Ohio.
Going out trying to get the big bass. What if that pays off? Man, will the place go crazy there. 25 anglers out there today. Bradley Stringer, the young man at the bottom, he's got to get a lot of work done if he wants a shot at the top prize in the sport of bass fishing. All right, the anglers who didn't make the cut, boy, some big names in that list too. We've got some former Classic winners. Takahiro Omori, last year's champion. Larry Nixon, Greg Hackney, much was expected of him. Rick Clunn.
Certainly was. I'm really surprised about Greg. He's a river fisherman. This is his type tournament. He wanted to get down there and catch those big fish. He was hustling. Those guys are hustling to catch fish. And we've got a guy out there on the river right now hustling, and that's Robbie Floyd.
Yeah, Robbie Floyd, what have you got for us today? You talked to these guys all morning long. They're really getting keyed up, right?
Yeah, they are, because, you know, between first place Aaron Martens and all the way down to Humdinger Bradley Stringer, there's less than 6 pounds between them, so they have to have, you know, optimistic hopes. And first to fifth was only 1 pound 2 ounces. How can you not be happy looking forward to this final day of the Classic? It's kind of like you always put yourself in that, you know, position playing basketball. You're going to take that final shot as the buzzer sounds. This is their final shot. The buzzer's about to sound, and every single one of these 25 guys has a realistic shot, especially those top 15 or so. But it's going to be a great day. It's going to be our tightest day, but I want to reiterate, everything I say on the water is officially unofficial. But officially right now, I want to throw it over to PNC Park. Kim Bain, you see any pirates over there?
No, I can't, Robbie, but I tell you what, you've got it dead right. Anyone in the top 25 today, well, the 25 today, could make a charge for the lead. I think realistically, anybody in the top top 15 could take it out. You know, Aaron Martens catching a lot of fish. He's always consistent. Van Dam chasing those bigger fish could be a factor. Iaconelli so pumped up, it's scary. He's got 20 spectator boats with him. He's gunning and running, and I tell you what, when he picks up and moves, 20 boats go right along with him. And I tell you what, if you catch a limit today, it will be huge. Now on the Three Rivers, there's plenty of big bass in here. I know we haven't seen a lot over the last 2 days, but you know, if the guys are going to catch a big one, today's the day to do it. Back to you, Tommy.
All right, thank you, Kim Bain and Robbie Floyd. Good stuff. They'll be working that water over today, I promise you. We get the best of all possible worlds today. We got the big three, the three biggest names in bass fishing at this point in time at the top of our leaderboard. Plus, we've got weights that are so close that we've got a success story, a comeback story, just in the making out there. We've got it all. We've got it all laid out in front of us.
We certainly do. We've got Barkley back here on point, making sure that he's going to show us anything that goes on quickly on the Allegheny.
Keep him on point right now. We're going to go downstairs, the Lawrence Convention Center here in Pittsburgh. The Classic Outdoor Show, one of the great outdoor shows in this country, is going on right now. And downstairs, another guy with a very important point of view on the Classic. Jerry McInnes, tell us what you got.
Tommy, you know, somebody actually asked me if we would be embarrassed if we set the record for the lowest weight here, and I thought, my gosh, you know, what if he was in the fourth quarter and the Steelers had scored no points and it was 0-0 and they won on a field goal? Would they be embarrassed? And I really feel that way. We have got 10, 15 guys that never caught a keeper during this tournament. And that just goes to show you that the guys that have been catching keepers are doing one heck of a job. The guys that didn't catch any were incredible anglers. So, boy, the way it's falling down here, I'm not even paying any attention to the weight. It's just an incredible race.
It really is, Jerry. We're looking forward to everything you're going to bring us today. Jerry, of course, we'll have access to all the anglers and some big names, too, who did not make the cut. So we're going to see a lot of great stuff from Jerry. Jerry's great at following those big stories as well. So we have so much to look forward to for you today. We're going to bring it all for you. As we go to break now, let's take a look at what the big three are thinking right now. The big guys at the top of the leaderboard at this point in the Citgo Bassmaster Classic.
Ah, yeah, baby.
Ah, yeah.
That's too good one.
Never give up! ESPN's live coverage of the Citgo 2005 Bassmaster Classic, presented by Under Armour, is brought to you by Citgo, Under Armour, and Mercury Marine. Take a look at that, the beautiful all-American city of Pittsburgh, PA. What a sports town and what a big day for sports. Pro sports, angling, the top of the pro sports stage right now. We are in Pittsburgh for the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Our live tournament coverage is continuing and will do so all the way up past the noon hour Eastern time. A city of bridges, over 750 bridges here in the city of Pittsburgh, and we will find out as we progress through the morning that the bridges are going to play an important part in who wins and who stays up with it, who keeps pace here in the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Tommy Sanders, Mark Menendez, the name Mike Iaconelli is on everybody's lips. It has been everybody who follows bass fishing all year long for the past 2 or 3, 4, 5 years. Of course, he won the Classic in 2003. Let's take a look at the young man from Runnymede, New Jersey. At the age of 33, this is his 6th Classic appearance. Of course, he won the whole thing, the big shootout down in the Delta, New Orleans. All right, let's take a look at his track from yesterday. Mike Iaconelli did some running around, did some risky things. Let's take a look at where he went, Mark.
He started at Point State Park, moved up the Monongahela, threw 2 locks, almost as far as he could go, turned around, came back down, and stopped right there and caught a fish before lock. Locked back down and came back up. So Mike is running around, putting the pieces together, Tommy, catching one here, one there, and hoping to catch those good fish.
All right, Mike Iaconelli thought it would be his tournament because he is a river fisherman for bass. He grew up in New Jersey, was born in the state of Pennsylvania, and he is going to work here in Pennsylvania.
He sure is. Early morning has been a big factor in this particular tournament to catch a little bit better quality fish. He's catching his better fish early, but he's staying focused, running hard, fishing hard, catch those fish later in the day as well.
All right, getting stuck in that lock. You got to time your locks, your progress through the locks. You got to make that work out. In general, the lock masters have been very, very kind to the Bassmaster competitors, but here he gets up in Turtle Creek and another problem, another downfall.
Well, I see why it's called Turtle Creek, Tommy. They're running from Mike. He's stuck. He can get out of the boat and get out of the area. He cannot come into an area by getting out of the boat. Here he is late in the day. This was very late in the day.
Baby.
Puts one in the boat.
You know what I'm
Never
saying?
giving up, as always.
Won the big show in 2003, and he is going always on. Mike Iaconelli trying to join an exclusive club. Guys who have won multiple Citgo Bassmaster Classics. He could do it here today in Pittsburgh.
He sure could. They're joining a really cool club there of only 4 other anglers.
Rick Clunn, Hank Parker, George Cochran, who was in this field today, and Bobby Murray, who won the first Classic. Boy, that would be an elite field. Mike Iaconelli would like nothing better than to join up with that. Risk versus reward, you can always count on Iaconelli to take those risks, can't you?
You certainly can. Mike is such a good fisherman. He's hustling all the time. He's always thinking, had he gone in there and caught a 3-pounder, look where he would have been. But instead, he didn't catch a fish. He's eliminated that area, Tommy. He probably won't make that risk again.
He's got a very, very definable image. He wants to be known as a guy who's going to press the envelope. He may bump up against the rules if that's what it takes. In fact, he got himself DQ'd one day at last year's class.
He certainly did. He was looking for an advantage. That's what the rules are there for, to see how far you can press that advantage. It didn't work. He turned himself in. It all played out. But he's looking to get as far away from the competition as he can.
Not a favorite of every bass fishing fan in the world. Of course, no one is, but Mike has some definite super supporters, and he has a few detractors as well.
Well, he pushes the envelope, and that's great. Anything that's different like that, Tommy, you know, you have different opinions about it. I think Mike's great for the sport. He's bringing attention to it, and attention is good, always great, whether it's good or bad. So it's an opinion you have to form on your own.
All right, he's got a brash style, a contagious, definitely contagious enthusiasm that has brought a new look to bass fishing for Mike Iaconelli.
Looks like Tommy's got some sunlight right on.
It's your classic champion, Michael Iaconelli.
Looking back on that season, looking back on you know, my career up to that point, looking back on my whole life, I'd worked to get to that point. That was magical.
When Michael Iaconelli was winning the 2003 Classic, he was at the top of his career professionally. Personally, he was going through the lows of a divorce, even considering giving up the sport he loves.
At that point in my life, I had a lot of negative feelings toward fishing because of things that happened. And so going into it, you know, I'm like, I don't know if I wanted to fish anymore. You know, I thought, let's win this. Let's go out with a bang and try something else. As it progressed, I think my real feelings came through. And that is that, you know, fishing is my life, and I'm passionate about it. Never give up! Never give up! Ah! I would never, ever want to quit the sport.
Ah! Iaconelli's passion for the sport is evident through the raw emotions he shows on the water.
Ah! That's just me, that's my personality. The competition, the energy, the spirit of sports all comes out, and that's how I show it. Classic number 2, here I come! To win a second Classic means a lot. Again, there's only a handful of anglers, you know, just a couple that have done it. I'd love to be in that very elite club, and so to win a second one, to me, would kind of solidify it. I go into every event thinking in my mind that I'm going to win, and I think you have to. You know, you have to have a feeling of confidence that you're going to win going in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it, number 1, baby.
Am I going to win Pittsburgh? Absolutely, I'm going to win. Put your money on me, baby. Put it on Mike Iaconelli. Put it down.
Michael Iaconelli, there he is, Godzilla-sized, big old picture of Ike down there at the convention center. He is brash, he is confident. A lot of people confuse that with bragging, but like they say, if you can do it, it ain't bragging, right?
Well, the one thing I like about Mike is the responsibility he feels to teach other anglers. Working with Mike at Bassmaster universities, he takes the time to each individual if they so ask questions, and he shows what he knows and shares it with the rest of the anglers in the room.
One of Robbie Floyd's big jobs is keeping up with Ike today. Robbie, what have you got for us?
Mercy, I hope you were taking notes, Tommy, when I do the show every Saturday morning. I miss all those questions that, that are asked of me. But one thing with Mike Iaconelli is he told me yesterday he really thinks he picked up on something later on in the day, and that was the little ghost minnows. We see a lot of ghost minnows, going around. He sees a lot of fish going after them. So really, it's the shaky head worm, the drop shot, not necessarily always working for him. He thinks maybe a little crankbait that he's able to work horizontally instead of more of a vertical presentation. He wants to, fish a little bit higher, not necessarily on the bottom. He thinks that's really going to be the key. So far, he's only caught 2 fish today. Neither are keepers, but he was seeing all these fish around, moving around, and instead of drop shotting like you see so many guys out there doing, he said that little crankbait, if he could work it on a more horizontal level, imitate those schools of bait fish, he thinks that's going to be the key to his victory. But he's up there at the Monongahela. Again, he's already got 2 fish, but not a keeper, and that's going to be the thing today. Who's going to catch 5 fish, first and foremost? But with all of them going up there, we still haven't seen many big fish caught up there. I think the one guy that does something freaky, like Jeff Reynolds, who's, to the left of me here on the alligator, I think he may have a shot just because he's doing something different. Greg Hackney went to the Ohio for a reason. He thought that's where the big fish are, but we're seeing most of our top 10 go up there in the Monongahela.
Well, thank you, Robbie. As you say, most of our fishing is still ahead of us. Somebody could do something that completely surprises us right now. Mike Iaconelli, the surprise, he's dropped down into 4th place. Aaron Martens started the day in 1st place, fell out of the lead, and he is back up into it again. Kevin Van Dam hanging right in there, right where he needs to be. All right, Mike Iaconelli, whatever happens, he is going to put on a show for us today. No one is more demonstrative than this man when he's on the water.
That's a 5-pounder. Yeah!
No, that's a bass, baby. Yeah!
All right, Pittsburgh, what a city. When you come through that pit tunnel, the whole city, the 3 rivers lays out in front of you. Nothing is more beautiful. Truly an all-American city. It's metropolitan. It's got a lot of the outdoors in it with the 3 rivers element of that. We're going to take a look at our leaderboard at the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. It is still early in the day. Aaron Martens came into the day with the lead. He was the man in position. Right now, Aaron Martens is still the man in position with 10 pounds, 1 ounce total. You had a figure he had to catch in order to beat that all-time lowest 3-day total, Mark. What was that figure that he had to catch today?
6 pounds and 5 ounces, which would at this point ellipse our record catch of this week of 6'2", Jimmy Mize, first day.
Got to catch the biggest catch of the week in order to beat that record. All right, we're going to take you down to the convention center floor. Pittsburgh is a place where Jerry McInnes has spent a lot of time. His television show used to be put together here. Ron Franklin, our host at the weigh-in, has spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh being the broadcaster for the Houston Oilers. And I know you guys have some great memories and some great observations of Pittsburgh today.
I tell you what, Ron, this is a real change of pace. Somebody interviewing Ron Franklin. Seems a little bit
strange. This is scary.
Yeah, this is. I bet it is.
I want control, Jerry.
You know what I'd like to know? Out of all of our broadcasters that we seem like have spread all over Pittsburgh right now, you're the only one that has been at this same level broadcasting in the other sports. How does this really compare to the World Series or March Madness or a big bowl game?
You know, it's getting there. I mean, it continues to move up and just, it continues to build, it continues to grow. Ray Scott and I were talking about the first one that I got to go to was in Pine Bluff back in the mid-'80s. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing that. Jack Chancellor won. And I remember seeing that it was, it was becoming a very big deal. But I'll tell you, in the last 5 years, New Orleans, the first telecast that you and I did, I think we had 36,000 people for that weigh-in in the Superdome. And it just, and then Birmingham, the fervor there, the same, like a football atmosphere. And so to answer your question, it not only has grown and continues to grow, the people here in Pittsburgh have been absolutely spectacular. And the atmosphere is there. Well, and, the lady who was doing our makeup, even Lori said, yes. I had no idea this event was like this. It's fun. It really is.
You use makeup?
No, God gave me this year. Didn't do a very good job, did he?
Hey, Ron, let me ask you something else here. The two Bubbas in a boat. Yeah. That's what these guys, that's what a lot of people think about them.
They live with that, and I'm afraid that there are a lot of people who will always, stereotype and say that that's what it's about. But it's so far from that now. It's, in fact, I think it has been. It is such a diverse group. We were talking about Rick Klon. Here's a guy, he was an engineer and, quit his job with a major oil company to go chase little green fish. And there's some characters in this group, too.
Oh,
it's a fun group.
Ron, I know you have a busy day today, but, man, we appreciate you coming out and spending a little bit of time.
My pleasure.
And we are always so proud to have Ron Franklin with us. Tommy, I know you feel that same way.
All right, Jerry, Ron, of course, we'll see him tonight at the big doings at the Mellon Arena, the weigh-in, the final reckoning of the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Our news-gathering capabilities with the addition of Bass Center to our coverage are tremendous. All right, John Kern and Byron Velvick ready to go with Bass Center.
We welcome you to Pittsburgh's Point State Park for this Bass Center in-game update. Along with my partner, Byron Velvick, I am John Kernan. It's the final day of the 35th Bassmaster Classic, the Super Bowl.
The big day is here, and it's getting closer. Hours are ticking away, John.
25 anglers launched this morning at 7 a.m. We want to get you up to date right now to take a look at the unofficial real-time leaderboard. And look at KVD, Kevin Van Dam. He's been on him. He's got a fish, and unofficially a 1-ounce lead right now over Aaron Martens.
Right now they're just changing back and forth. It's like some boxers just beating each other up in the ring. There's body punches, blows, uppercuts.
Buddy blow.
Aaron and Van Dam and Swindle are duking it out. One fish here, one fish there. Nobody's has over. Well, Davey Hite just now caught his third keeper as we speak.
Wow.
The board just changed. He has all of a sudden moved into third place, John.
Oh, third place unofficially.
Unofficially right now, there's been a change even since we've been on the air. Aaron Martens, Kevin Van Dam, Davey Hite, Gerald Swindle. It's happening so fast, it's hard to keep up.
Well, we have reporters covering the Super Bowl of bass fishing like a blanket. Let's go out to the water and check in with Robbie Floyd.
It's happening so fast. I thought I was going to get to one to break the report, and you whole-shotted me on that. I can't believe it.
Sorry, Robbie.
Supercross motocross thing there.
Moves into third, bumps out Gerald Swindle. Unofficially, Swindle's going to drop back to fourth, but look at the top two. Aaron Martens, KVD, both of them have fish today. They have 2 caught fish, but only 1 keeper. Now, they'll keep that ratio all day long. I mean, really, the guy that you picked him, Byron, that should be the favorite here is Aaron Martens. It's his type of water, drop shot, finesse stuff. It plays to his strengths. I'll actually show you one of the baits a little bit later, the exact same one he's using when it gets really difficult out there. He gave me one just before launch today. But this guy's really on top of it. I even talked to David Walker, who, has a chance of winning this thing, and he said, you know what, Aaron Martens is going to win this. But the one thing about Aaron that's really impressed me is he keeps trying different stuff. He's moving around. He didn't give up. Yesterday, he had so many missed fish. I mean, he was busting them off right off the bat, lost a 2-pounder, and he knows he's into it. He had 9 total fish, more than anybody, and he actually had the 10th one on. 10 fish is what they're supposed to have. He had it, but he was right at that 12-inch mark. He said, I'd better not try it. Back to you, John.
All right, thank you, Robbie, for that update out there. And, we're kind of tracking the guys who started out in the top 3. We see them down the Allegheny, and Aaron's out there. Iaconelli.
Wait, right now, Iaconelli has yet to catch a fish. He's at the mouth of the Yak, right? The Yakagani. It's tight right now.
All right, don't forget, Bass Center is back here every half hour with an update. We'll be here at 12:30. Live coverage of the 35th Bassmaster Classic continues.
This Bass Center in-game update is brought to you by Triton Boats.
All right, take a look at the leaderboard. Unofficial though it may be, it is totally up to date right now. Aaron Martens, the man on top. Kevin Van Dam, you cannot shake this guy. He is right behind him. And Davey Hite, what a move this man has made today. Davey Hite, another one of our characters. 5 of them, 2 of them now in the top 5, 3 exactly. We're looking for a second classic. Boy, this is huge. This is huge.
Well, I see a new story developing, Tommy. Davey has evidently gotten some of those special cookies that Kevin's wife makes, and he's made a move today.
Well, he has certainly done something special. Take a look at that fish there. Hard to believe that 35 years ago, the Three Rivers here in Pittsburgh were not hospitable to fish. In fact, the only species that lived here, bullhead catfish, and probably a few carp. They were not even possible for a bass to live in this place. 35 years later, the water is much cleaner. It is a managed fishery. Man, oh man. Ron Franklin right now is going to take us back in time a little bit to show us how Pittsburgh has really changed through the years.
The Steel City, the city of bridges, the city of champions, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Situated at the point where the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers converge to form the Ohio, Pittsburgh has been a city of dramatic change throughout its history. The area was first occupied by the French in the late 1600s as a fur trading post, only to relinquish Fort Duquesne to the British during the French and Indian War. With access to raw materials, especially coal, a blast furnace was built in 1792, helping to spur the development of the most prosperous steel production in the nation. As industrialism flourished in Pittsburgh during the 1800s, the Steel City encountered a wave of environmental concerns, including soot-filled skies and polluted waters. John Parton, noted author, referred to it as hell with the lid taken off. But Pittsburgh became a place synonymous with hard work and innovation. Beginning in the 1970s, the steel industry's decline gave way to other, more diversified business services. Technology, healthcare, and banking flourished as Pittsburgh became a world leader in organ transplants, biomedical technology, and finance. Pittsburgh became the city of champions. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls, and the Pirates won 2 World Series in the 1970s. The Pirates now have PNC Park, and the Steelers have Heinz Field. The Ohio, Allegheny, and Monongahela will do what old Three Rivers Stadium never did, host a Super Bowl. The 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic, the Super Bowl of bass fishing, will be fished on these rivers. What was once unimaginable is now reality.
So true. Take a look at that. Some of the old steel infrastructure, part of the old Pittsburgh there. And you can still go up and down, especially the Mon River, I think, more than any of the other 3 rivers, and see a lot of the old steel mills right there. Part of the problem back in the old days when they started cleaning up the rivers, that there was so many steel plants all up and down the river. A lot of people didn't even know they had a river there. You couldn't see it, physically see the river. The steel, it's a bittersweet story. You lost jobs when steel went away, but boy, have they got a place now, a wonderful, wonderful outdoor setting and a great playing field for us here.
Absolutely. Things have changed, and it was amazing to me, Tommy, the numbers of fish that were caught, particularly on the first day. Over 300 bass caught by our competitors. Not all keepers, but that's telling me that the waters are clean, fertile, and lots of bass here for the anglers to catch.
20 years ago, it was a place on the rebound. They didn't even have a managed fishery. They didn't have enough fish to manage. Now it is a managed fishery, and it can only go up, right? It can only get better.
Absolutely. I tell you what, it's such a transition that the river is coming back, and it's allowed the fishermen a fine place to fish, and we've got fishermen in the tournament right now that are making huge comebacks right now.
Yeah. One guy making a huge comeback is Davey Hite, who was the 1999 Citgo Bassmaster Classic champ down there in the New Orleans Delta. He would love to add another classic to his resume, which also includes 2 Angler of the Year titles. Look at Davey Hite from Prosperity, South Carolina. Picked up a big E50 win out there this year. Really celebrated that in a big way. He is definitely on a roll. It seems like a year up and a year down sometimes for Davey, but the last 2 years have definitely been on the upswing for him. Let's take a look at Davey out on the water. We're going to talk to Kim Bain, who's been following Davey and his exploits today. He's really making a move, isn't he, Kim Bain?
Oh, it's incredible, Tommy. I tell you what a story firing up for Davey Hite today. Started today in 14th place and already has 3 keepers, which is just huge. Unofficially, he has moved into 3rd place. What a huge jump for him. Now, he's fishing the Monongahela. Now, he's just passed the first lock, and he is having an awesome day. Over to you, Robbie.
He was Davey Hite in Wissota, the Lake Wissota, the final E50 event, he finished second place behind his buddy Kevin Van Dam, 2 roommates. They know how to fish the tough fisheries out there. You notice Kevin Van Dam, Davey Hite still up in there. It was tough for him. He's actually progressed as we take a look at it from day 1 to day 2. I expect even more out of him from day 3. But Davey Hite, he must be mowing down those lucky cookies. I asked KVD, you know, KVD's wife, Sherry makes those cookies for him and he passes them out. He said he had 5 to start off with, so he better not be burning through them early. But again, you got to catch those 5 to get things going, Tommy.
All right, thank you, Robbie. Mark, I want you to riff a little bit on what Davey Hite's strengths are as we look at his record from the first 2 days of this thing. He has really been on the upswing with each progressive day.
Well, I think the thing about Davey, when I look at him as an angler, is he's always in position to win. He's a thinker. He thinks way out in front of the game plan, but he's putting himself in a position to win. The Wissota tournament, a recent example. You know, the Classic, he blew that one away. But he is a winner, and that's the only thing he's looking at. Second is nothing in his mind. He is wanting to add a second Classic trophy to his mantle.
Knowing how to win is an important element of winning the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. The experience is invaluable. Davey Hite is a guy who definitely knows how to win, as he proved back in 1999 down on the Louisiana Delta when he won the big prize.
Well, Davey Hite blew the field away in that Classic.
I found an area that had some quality fishing. And you have to do that or you can't win, no matter who you are.
Everything came together in that tournament. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody was close to it.
I think he ended up beating me by 10 pounds.
Weight, 19 pounds, 14 ounces. Davey Hite.
Just a dream come true. Just a dream come true.
Boy, today is the big day. Final day for the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Take a look at the play and field. The 3 rivers, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 750 bridges within the city limits here. The bridges are going to come into play today. They're going to be a big part of the fishing. We will get to that in due time. We have got so many stories working. Aaron Martens, our unofficial leader at this point. What a vantage point we have right here. PNC Park for the Pirates. We got the home of the Steelers, Heinz Field in the background there. Big time sports is all around us in Pittsburgh. It's a big part of the quality of life here. And speaking of quality of life, Tommy Sanders, Mark Menendez, and Barkley here. And Barkley's quality of life is going to go down if he doesn't take a walk sometime soon. So we have to say goodbye to Barkley.
He's got other commitments, Tommy. He's ready to go. We appreciate my best buddy here being with us.
What about us? We got to be here for a while too. We'll have to watch those commitments as well. I tell you what, an angler who makes a commitment and really follows through on it is the angler who winds up the Citgo Angler of the Year. There is a school of thought, Mark Menendez, that says Angler of the Year is almost as an important prize as the Bassmaster Classic. What do you think?
I certainly think it does, because it is the guy who's been the most consistent. It's the guy that has played the field the best, hit those singles, doubles, stuck one out there for a triple, and then hit a home run. That's the guy that has been the best all year, and I think it shows that it is the commitment that gets him there.
The guy that did it this year, 2005, Aaron Martens, coincidentally our leader unofficially right now in the tournament. He has made a year of it. He's a different sort of personality, really into fishing. Let's take a look at our Citgo Angler of the Year right now.
I'm going out there today thinking, oh, God, I got to catch them. No, look at the guys behind me. I know they're going to catch them. I'm going to go out there with a fresh mind and just go fishing and have fun. That's what I've done every day this year. If it happens, great. Now, is it a big deal? Absolutely. To me, it's the greatest title in all fishing.
At the season-ending event at Table Rock Lake, a glance at the standings revealed a tight race of anglers within striking distance for the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Angler of the Year title. North Carolina's Marty Stone was hanging on by a thread for the title over a host of familiar faces. With a strong finish on day 1 of the competition, Marty Stone remained in the lead.
I do have my destiny in my own hands. So if I go out and do my job today, this thing's over.
The conditions were vastly different on day 2. Stone failed to make the final days of the tournament, although knocking out most of the competition, except one, Aaron Martin. On day 2, Martens caught the fish of the tournament and took the lead in the race. Marty Stone had to wait and watch as Aaron Martens fished for the title. Martens had to finish in 4th place or better, and he'd win it. And that's just what he did. It was meant to be for Aaron Martens.
Aaron Martens, the 2005 Citgo Angler of the Year.
Only one man has ever won that trophy, and also The Citgo Bassmaster Classic Trophy in a single year. That was Mark Davis back in 1995. Aaron Martens making a huge bid to pull that off yet again here in 2005, 10 years later. What a story that is going on right now. And bridges are a part of Aaron Martens' story. Let's take a look at our standings right now and show you where Aaron Martens is. Well, that was the Angler of the Year standings right there for Aaron Martens. He just, as we say, won it on the last day there at Table Rock Lake. A performance that the only way you can describe it, it was clutch. He came through in the end. He had guys following. Marty Stone had a lot of fans, but Aaron Martens in the end prevailed. He had the thinking, he had the mind to get it done, and he absolutely got it done. Bridges are a big part of the Aaron Martens story at the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Again, more bridges. Only one city in the world has more bridges than Pittsburgh, and that is Venice, Italy. Aaron Martens has taken advantage of these bridges. They're a big part of his technique.
It really is, Tommy. What he's doing is getting a small bait in a specific strike zone. It's falling down and getting in there close to those bridge pilings, and it's almost like deep flipping. You've got those bridge pilings. The current is positioning those fish. They're getting behind it or right in front of the bridge piling, and Aaron is getting that drop shot right down there at the base of that pillar, working it down around the edges of it where those bass are positioned to take advantage of anything that would blow by with the current. On the front side of those, here presents a different challenge, Tommy. We've got a lot of stuff that is blown in through there in the flood times during the spring and puts a lot of trash in the front of those bridge pilings. That's an angler's area that he knows a bass is going to be there, but my gosh, what a risk he has to take to get that fish out of there. He's got a tough chance to get him, but that could be where that best fish of the Classic is sitting.
All right, our fantastic Bass Eye View there brought to you by Citgo. Robbie Floyd brings us great reports from out on the water today. Right now, the subject is Aaron, right, Robbie?
Yeah, definitely the Citgo Angler of the Year, Aaron Martens. I got to eat dinner with he and his wife last night talking to Aaron. A lot of people know that, you know, I mean, he lives, breathes, and he ate fish last night. He had sushi, by the way, a little yellowtail. But Aaron, I mean, he's really a blue-collar fisherman. You say, Aaron, I don't see that out of him. He started off as a party boat fisherman. He's 17, 18 years of age, going out there trying to catch tuna, doing whatever on the coast of California. I mean, he started the hard way, you know, swabbing the deck, doing it all from, you know, putting the bait on, tying it on, you know, filleting the fish at the end of the day. He did that. He said it was the most brutal job he had ever had. And he realized at that point that he didn't want to be on that end of the fishing spectrum. He knew professional bass fishing was what he wanted to do. He started doing that at age 11. But, you know, he worked in a tackle store just so he could get cheaper tackle. I mean, this guy was doing everything he could to save money. He said he spent his entire paycheck on tackle, and he's, believe it or not, even being the Angler of the Year, he's having to do that as well this year. He said he spent over $20,000 of his own money on tackle. There's no way he should be spending that much money on tackle, but he's still doing that. He says he's having a hard time, but I'm telling you, I got more on this little bait here. That's what he says he's going to go to when it gets difficult.
All right, Aaron Martens. Thank you, Robbie. Aaron Martens trying to make a little history here. Let's take a look at how other guys have succeeded at that task. Winning Angler of the Year. How well have they done at the Classic? Well, the results are mixed and not all that great, with the exception of Mark Davis. It's not very good. Davey Hite, pretty good job after he followed up his Classic win. It's pretty tough. Why is that? You would think you'd have the momentum, you'd be ready to get into the Classic and really whip up on some people.
Well, it's almost like lightning having to strike twice, Tommy, in the same place. It's tough stuff. You're at your top of your game, you get into the Classic, you've won Angler of the Year, and then there's a big letdown. You stayed focused all season to get the Angler of the Year title, then you've got a break between then and the Classic, and you have a little letdown. Maybe it's a little bit tough to climb back up to the top of the peak to be ready for the Classic in those instances.
A letdown, a losing of focus, but also with what Robbie was telling us, Aaron's not a guy who's likely to lose focus when the subject is fishing. Let's take a look at the way he handled it yesterday, and he handled it quite well. Caught a lot of fish, lost a few fish, and man, it was a big day for Aaron Martens.
Here we go again. Aaron, here he is. We call him Spin, and he's the best on tour with a spinning reel. Here's the risk that he's taking in front of one of those pilings, and that cost him one of those big fish. But he's staying focused, changing tactics up a little bit. Another good key fish coming off right there. First time I've seen him with a casting reel. Back with the spinning reel. Here it is again. So he's gone through some tribulations right there. On top, the roller coaster, then he'll catch one, and then he's back right where he was. So he's being consistent, Tommy. He's catching more fish than any other of our competitors all week, and that's why he's getting 4 and 5 and 6 keeper opportunities each day.
Throughout the day, we're going to get more insights into the personality of Aaron Martens. It's truly unique, and not the stereotypical bass angler.
I can't get excited when I catch one.
Oh, he can get excited. He's got plenty of reasons to be excited today. There he is right there. Aaron Martens grew up in the San Fernando Valley, the LA area, and now he's on top of the bass fishing world.
Back on one of those pillars, got another fish in the boat. Just catching numbers, Tommy, and that may be the key to winning this Bassmaster Classic.
I'm not excited yet.
Dude. That one's close. That one's close. That's a pretty big celebration for Aaron right there. I don't think we're going to see him spinning on the front of the boat.
Easy, keeper.
But he's happy to have another keeper in the boat.
Oh, man.
Got lots of fans, probably has more fans joining the fray right now. More boats probably following Aaron Martens right now. We'll be checking in on that, definitely.
Oh, my God.
All right, another thing you need to know about Aaron Martens is he's been a super bridesmaid in the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. 2004, 2002, he wound up in second place. That's not where you want to be in the Classic. The old saying is nobody remembers who finishes second place at the Classic.
That's exactly right. Second place is no fun. It's a great event. It's a nice paycheck, but you want to win, Tommy. You want to win. Aaron has had enough second places in his career. He's won several of the tour events, open events as well, but he wants the big one. He's been around it those couple of times. He wants to win, Tommy.
All right, the bridges again, the way we're doing it. Another huge Aaron Martens fan is in the house. That is Jerry McInnes. What's Aaron doing? Give us some more insight into this man that we think so much of.
Well, everybody is fishing either a jerk bait, as Kevin Van Dam has been fishing a little bit around the bridge piers, a very shallow running crankbait, and a drop shot. You guys keep talking about drop shots. What is a drop shot? I'll tell you. Got one rigged up right here. A drop shot is a technique where you put the weight on the very end of your line. Okay? Then maybe up 12, 14, maybe as far as 24 inches, you tie a very small finesse worm. Now on that, pardon me, a finesse hook. Now on that hook, I'm going to put a little bitty tiny, I've actually got a Berkeley finesse worm right here, and I know Aaron Martin fishes with a robo worm most of the time. I just nose hook that. Now then, I got my rig on the bottom, and I've got my worm above it. Now, if you were down there around the bridge piers, here's what it would look like. The weight is actually buried down there in the gravel. Look up here about 2 feet. There sits that little worm, and it's right in our tank here. It's right on the level, the eye level of those fish, so they get a real good look at it. The secret to fishing it, now get away from there, buddy. The secret of fishing it is to not do much with it. If you just hold your line good and steady, and possibly at times give a little bit of twitch, that tail will just move a little bit. And you know what? A lot of our anglers out there use too much rod action, work too hard at it. Just let it sit there very nicely, and they'll pick one of them. Hey, I just saw Barkley go by here a minute ago. How can that be?
He's got other commitments, Tommy. He's on his way to another place, so that's where he's at, Jerry.
He loves the Classic Outdoor Show, doesn't he, Barkley?
He does.
So does Jerry as well. Thank you, Jerry, for that great report. We'll see Aaron doing that, no doubt, at some point, probably very, very soon here in the proceedings. We're going to take you to a break right now and remind you that the only other guy in history to win that Angler of the Year title and to follow it up with a Classic victory, Mark Davis, and the year was 10 years ago, 1995.
I remember 1995 Classic being kind of the education of Mark Davis.
He got in that zone, and when you get in that zone and things are going right, you can't do any wrong.
I don't think it'll be enough. Got to be 14-7. You made it! 16 pounds and 4 ounces! You made it, Mark! You're the Classic champion!
Mark Davis became the first guy in the history of the Bassmasters Classic to win the Angler of the Year and the Classic Championship in the same year.
Biggest thing that's ever happened to me in fishing.
Yeah!
I don't want to get second. That's just too much.
No! No!
Everybody remembers first, but second's just forgotten.
Don't come off. It's a big one.
You can literally see the Classic slipping away from you when a fish gets off. It gives me a lot of motivation to have revenge.
When I know that I'm in contention, that just changes things for me. If I know I'm in striking distance, that is the most exciting thing that I could ask for. That's what I live for.
They are our big three. Surely in the top 5, those 3 guys, the biggest names in this day, at this date, in the sport of bass fishing. That's how they're doing right now. Our leader, Aaron Martin, second place. Van Dam, Iaconelli hanging in on the top 5 there. Boy, oh boy, who's going to take, among these three, you making any picks this early on this final day, Mark?
Well, these are all unofficial recordings there on the weight, but I tell you what, Kevin is the one. When I saw the fire in his eyes this morning, I think Kevin was going to catch a big fish today and make the big jump.
All right, they're all going to have entourages of boats out there with them today. Is that going to make any difference when the fishing is this tough, when it's such a light line situation, everything's so delicate?
I think it's going to make a big deal here, Tommy. The fishing may not be quite as good as what it has been in the last little bit. Our Bass Track has recorded lots of catches for us, but it's we're not seeing those keepers jump on line like we did yesterday. So it could make a big difference. The afternoon bite may be what pulls the Classic out of the hat for the angler.
All right, one guy has made a huge move up from into the top 10 and now all the way now into third place unofficially, and that is Davey Hite, Prosperity, South Carolina. More on Davey right now from Robbie Floyd.
And he's looking to break records as the greatest comeback in Classic from 14th to 1st. He will tie two other people, some big names. Don Butler back in 1972 at Percy Priest Reservoir in Nashville, Tennessee, and Rick Clunn in 1990, I believe, the James River. 14th to 1st is a big jump, but he really came from 30th on day one. So a big jump, 30, 14. He's hoping he ends number one. He already has 3 fish, and we knew the guy who catches the limit, I don't care what they've done before, if you catch a limit, that is huge out here. I don't care if they're 1-pounders, and that's the case for Davey. He's definitely catching them a lot earlier than he has the first 2 days. He's actually caught as many now as he's caught, you know, for a total on each one of those days.
All right, Robbie. Davey Hite, did you get a chance to talk to him before the launch today?
I did a little bit. I mean, the one thing about Davey, he's going to be fishing around a lot of people. I mean, as far as you can, the Monongahela, it's going to get pretty crowded. Now, it's how you're going to change things up, and they're going to have to try and find new water. I heard that a lot from several anglers. They're going to be hitting the same spots. There's one stretch of grass that's way up there, but they're going to have to find different water that they're just not beating up. And one thing also, yesterday, a lot of recreational boats. If you're fishing around that yak, I noticed you mentioned one of the anglers was up there earlier. Right. The yak yesterday had 30 rec boats in there. Just, I don't know why. You know they had to know that the Classic's going on, but maybe they're saying, hey, look at me catching all these big fish, and it's these guys' livelihoods. But quite a bit of recreational fishing boats out there, not just the spectators, but it's going to be a little tougher for them today. But Davey's obviously catching them 3, and we're still way early in the competition.
All right, it is the weekend, Robbie. Thank you very much for that report. It is the weekend. You expect that sort of thing right there. Davey Hite and the man on the move there. Let's take a look at the biggest Classic comebacks, and Don Butler way back when, the second Classic engineered the biggest one.
Absolutely. Momentum is the key here. Getting that momentum running, headed towards, you know, getting a pattern going, catching one of those key fish, and then you're right there back in the game. So that's the deal.
All right, coming up, more news gathering capabilities as this Classic coverage continues on the final day of the Classic. Bass Center with an update coming up right now.
We welcome you back to Pittsburgh, the city of champions, for the final day of the 35th Bassmaster Classic. This is a Bass Center in-game update. Hello, everybody. I'm John Kernan, along with my partner, Byron Velvick. 25 anglers out on the water right now in the 3 rivers, and you got some guys doing some drastic things.
There are some scrambles happening right now. Some guys are looking for fish. Some guys are going after some fish and going to places they don't normally fish. Aaron Martens still has the lead. Kevin Van Dam. But right now, any keeper at all will move you so fast. Only, as you know, you were going to say 5 guys have caught fish so far.
5 guys have caught keepers. They have them in the live well. And for more, we go over to Jay and Z, the Loudmouth Twins.
Hey, thanks, guys. Z. Twins. Twins. Ooh. What's up with twins? Listen, what we noticed yesterday is it started like kind of a separation anxiety, clear separation between the guys who are figuring them out, catching more Aaron Martens, Gerald Swindle, Kevin Van Dam, Scott Rook, people like that, and guys who are not doing that, and they're clearly sliding the other way. So far, no one out of the top 10 has caught a fish today.
One of the biggest things also that happened yesterday is guys that are in the top, the Aaron Martens, the Kevin Van Dams, Gerald Swindle and Iaconelli, they were getting bit later. There was a lull in the day yesterday between about 9:30 and 1 o'clock where guys really weren't catching much, and then boom, 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 boom between 1 and 3. So there's going to be a big shakeup probably again between 1 and 3 o'clock today.
Definitely right. See, one other thing is a lot of guys have caught fish who are catching fish here today in the top 10 going into today. 5 of them were in the top 10 in the Bassmaster Tour points. 4 were in the top 10 in the E50 points. These guys are clearly on a roll right now.
No doubt, like I said, there's going to be a huge shakeup coming later this afternoon.
Awesome.
Back to John and Byron.
See you guys.
Yeah, that's a very good point that Jay made there, because the cream usually does rise to the top.
Oh.
in these big
It's going to be such a big weigh-in. This is going to be so exciting because these guys are hot, and these are the top guys. Clash of the Titans. I've been calling it all week. It's happening. These guys are on their best game, and we're going to watch these guys weigh in today, and someone will be the Bassmaster Classic champion. Huge day for somebody.
And we are not finished yet. We're here all morning with live coverage of the 35th Bassmaster Classic here on ESPN2, and also Bass Center will be back on ESPN2 at 12:30 Eastern.
This Bass Center in-game update is brought to you by Toyota.
Pittsburgh, PA, that's the place. This is the big day, the final day of the Citgo Bassmaster Classic for 2005. Aaron Martens is our leader. That's our unofficial leaderboard right there. All these weights are unofficial, but we got some official footage of Aaron Martens to show you right now. The fish catching is underway for Aaron Martens, but he needs more keepers at this point. Let's take a look at Aaron right now on the water. This was just a little while ago.
Got a quick one in the boat there. Still got him on. Is he going to measure? Has he still got him? He's got to throw that one back. But it's another bite. He's still going through a lot of fish. That's the key to Aaron's success here, is catching big numbers. Got that one in the boat. That one's going to be close. If he can just figure out that one. That was a catfish, Tommy.
All right, can't use those. Those will not count at the weigh-in. He's trying to get there, trying to become the second guy ever to win the Angler of the Year title and the Bassmaster Classic in 1 year. Mark Davis did it back in 1995. Another guy who'd like to do that is our man who joins us right now, Shaw Grigsby. Lots of great reportage here at the Classic this week, and I know you got a lot of insights into the way that Aaron's catching, and Aaron's personality too is amazing.
Oh yeah, and he's hotter than a pistol. I tell you,
oh,
you know, coming off Angler of the Year, you know, you talked about momentum a minute ago. That just drives everybody. I mean, if you look at these guys, I go back in here and just look at their top 10, but you look at guys like Aaron Martens, comes off Angler of the Year, he's hot, he knows it, that makes you make correct decisions. I mean, you just make the right decisions when you get in those tough situations. Iaconelli, same thing. Iaconelli and Van Dam battled all through the E50 circuit. Van Dam ended up on top. You can see where they are. They're both battling for the win right here. And you even go down. Gerald Swindle had a great second half of the season, right? I mean, he just came on.
Great comeback.
Great comeback. There is Davey Hite. Comes off a win in Arkansas and then finishes second behind Van Dam and Wissota. You're looking at a guy, he's got momentum. So all of these momentum pushes, they're just making the right decisions.
All right, let's go down to the water. We got an update right now on Kevin Van Dam. Let's go. All right, Kevin Van Dam, we talked a little bit about the things he's doing today. Some bridge problems, but he's doing something a little different now.
Throwing a topwater bait, skiing him into the boat, hurrying as fast as he can. We're going to see if this one gets him on the board.
I think it's a little short there.
It does look a little short. I believe it's another wrong species too there, Josh.
That was 7:21 a.m. How long did that topwater bite last today?
Goodness gracious. You know, it does last a little bit longer here, but it cuts off pretty quick.
Kevin Van Dam currently in second place. Boy, Kevin Van Dam, once he gets his eyes on that prize, if he can see first place, you're going to have a hard time shaking that guy.
You're exactly right. I mean, he's tough. He's been missing some good fish, but I got to give you some number runs down. You know, you were talking about how many fish were caught yesterday. 333 caught the first day. 332 yesterday.
It was only one difference.
Only one difference. You'd think this river would fall off. But look at the keepers. 99 keepers the first day. 76 yesterday, so that's going to be the tough part today. They're still going to catch a lot of fish, but the keepers are really going to go down. And 105 pounds for those 99 keepers, so it's just a little over 1 pound of fish today, or yesterday it went to 1 pound of fish exactly. It was 76 keepers and 76 pounds.
What are the chances?
So with the opportunities that you get, you absolutely have to make the most of them.
That's it. Kevin may have already lost the Classic by those couple big fish, or those 3 or 4 big fish he lost the first day, the second day. You know, one fish means so much.
All right, you never know what to expect when you're catching them out there. That's a good prediction there. We hope it doesn't come true from Kevin. Some catches are expected, some are unusual. Jerry McInnes down on the convention center floor can tell us more about that, Jerry.
I tell you what, Tommy, I was reminded as I saw Aaron, I believe, pull up one of those bridge piers just a few minutes ago. I was reminded of the story that Terry Scroggins, who is still in our top 25, told me. On his first day, he pulled up to one of those piers, and a keeper jumped in his boat, in between the pier and his boat, jumped out of the water into his boat. I mean, we're having so much trouble catching one keeper, and he has one jump in the boat. And your obvious question is, well, did he get to keep him? No, he had to turn him loose. Doesn't count, Tommy.
Oh, that's too bad, man. What a great way. What great television that would make to catch and win the Classic by having a fish jump in your boat. We can't do that, though. That is not legal. Jeff Reynolds is one of the guys who is right up there, right under the top 5, is in the 6th position. Jeff Reynolds from Platter, Oklahoma. Had a great sort of bookended his season on the tour with a great finish, the top 6 on the tour at the first event and the last event as well.
You know, Jeff has kind of flown under the radar here. He's been very steady. He's very calm, cool, collected for a young guy, 31 years of age, but he's got a lot more experience than that.
All right, let's take a look at his trail from yesterday, where Jeff Reynolds went on the 3 rivers to do his damage.
Jeff started at Point State Park as usual, and he's fishing very close to us, Tommy, making some stops here by the convention center, running on up the Allegheny, turning around, running back, running and gunning, trying to find a couple fish. He's been very, very good at catching 2 or 3 a day.
It is pretty awesome to see how they're moving so much, trying to pick off one fish here, one fish there, but they've got to move a lot.
All right, Kim Bain is doing her best. She's doing a lot of running and gunning as well, trying to keep up with Jeff Reynolds. What have you got on Jeff for us, Kim Bain?
G'day, Tommy. Actually, Jeff has returned to where he caught the big bass yesterday. Of course, he caught the 1 pound, 15-ounce bass, which was big bass on day 2. Now, he's back in the Allegheny today, and he's right in the very spot where he actually caught the bass. Now, interestingly, Jeff may actually break the record for the smallest big bass caught in the Classic. Now, that's currently held by Roger Farmer, who caught a 2 pound, 8-ounce bass in 1983. So that's interesting. But what's really interesting about Jeff is, you're right, Mark, he's cool, calm, collected. He's not feeling the pressure. He's just out here having fun. You know, and historically speaking, anglers from 4th place have come back to win this thing. So have come back to win the Classic. So it's a good deal. Back to you, Tommy.
All right, thank you, Kim Bain. You know, guys, we talk about all these records, the smallest limit for a 3-day Classic here, the smallest big fish at a Classic. And anyone who's just tuning in and thinks that somehow fishing fans, real fishing fans, are disappointed by that would have it wrong, because this is competition at its highest level. If this were just a totem contest, it wouldn't be nearly as entertaining. The example that's given to, say, like a U.S. Open here, Oakland Hills in this area near Pittsburgh, or Shinnecock Hills with the 8-inch rough, the fast greens. The guys finish over par, yet it's the height of competition. It's exquisite.
Absolutely the best. And I'm telling you, this is the most exciting Classic I've been to, very honestly. You know, we see a lot more fish or bigger fish in other Classics, but this is exciting because it's so tough. I mean, we're talking ounces. It's like a hair is dividing each one of them.
Absolutely. And the guys that are in 3rd, 4th, and 5th place, they can take some of that pressure off. They have nothing to lose and everything to gain by an ounce at a time.
All right. Dave Wallach is the only Pennsylvanian, we haven't brought that up yet, to be left in this field. 25 cut down on the Classic. As we take a look at a leaderboard right now, our unofficial weigh show that Dave Wallach is making his own sort of move. Dave Wallach, who's the Toyota Rookie of the Year. That's the first page right there. Dave Wallach started way down in the standings today. Aaron Martens, we see the man still on top. We're going to pick up Dave Wallach in just a little bit. Yeah, he's made quite a move up there, all the way into 15th place. He's Pennsylvania's only hope in a game, the Classic, that a guy has never won a Classic in his home state.
Well, that's a hard obstacle to do, but Dave is our Rookie of the Year, and he's got his own momentum behind him. He's thrilled to be here. He's doing really well, moving right on up that leaderboard.
I tell you what, you look down here, Tommy Biffle is one. You know, he can pull out all the stops, catch some big ones on the jigs. Marty Stone, he's got that kind of that attitude that I am going to win, so that's good.
All right, what if Tommy Biffle comes in 2nd place? It couldn't happen to him again. He's another one of those super bridesmaids who has got 2 2nd places already in the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. All these stories are working, so much more on the way. Our coverage continues on the water everywhere here in Pittsburgh, the 2005 Classic, when we return.
It's the toughest term I've ever fished.
Oh, no!
It is a very unpredictable river.
It's going to take all of our skills to catch a limit.
That's a heartbreaker. When you set the hook on that fish, you know, it's do or die. That fish has got to get in the boat, and that is a lot of pressure.
Oh, come on. It's a big one.
When things don't go your way, and it's in the biggest event there is, it's hard to overcome that mentally.
The worst mistake you can make is think you're out of it just because you had a bad day.
All right, our angler's not afraid to talk about how tough it is, what a challenge it is, and that's the way it should be at the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Our coverage continues. The Classic for 2005 here in Pittsburgh, the city of Bridges, a beautiful town, all-American town, sports town supreme. What a great place to stage the Classic, the biggest event in all of fishing. Mark Menendez, Shaw Grigsby here. We're following the action as we go through it. The story of Takahiro Omori. Last year, 2004, Lake Wiley in South Carolina becomes the first international winner of a Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Comes back, wins the very first tournament on the tour the next year, and you think, hey, is an American guy ever going to win a tournament again? Of course, nobody really thought that, but Tak, what momentum he had, and it sort of played out during the course of the year, and sort of has continued to go downhill here at the Classic. A little bit of surprise that he didn't make the top 25, right?
A little bit of surprise. Tak has just been such a student of the game. He studies every detail, Shaw, so much more than you and I ever thought about doing. But he's every detail, and that's why he's been so successful. Lack of maybe ability of language barrier there, but he speaks the language of catching, not just fishing.
That's exactly right, Mark. And remember what Tommy just said, momentum. You even mentioned it 3 or 4 times now. Momentum. Watch what happened. He come off the Classic Championship, turns around, wins the first tournament. We saw that with Fritz when he did it. We've seen that over and over. You win, you just keep winning.
All right, Takahiro Omori, a guy who took a risk, frankly, at the first day of this tournament, went down the Ohio River. The objective was to catch largemouth. With largemouth, you think bigger fish than smallmouth. Let's take a look at a map. Let's look at his risk going up the Ohio, or should I say down the Ohio, on day 1 of this tournament here. Let's take a look at Takahiro Omori, leaving the Point State Park through both locks here, on his way up near the Beaver River, right?
Absolutely, but you know what, Tommy? I like his style. The Classic is the one you want to hit a home run in, you want to win in. He thought that's where he needed to be to catch those bigger fish, doing his strength. A flipping stick in his hand is what Takahiro is very, very adept at doing.
He's a power fisherman. He's on top of his game, and he went in there to catch that big stringer. For some reason, whether the fish repositioned or they just didn't bite, but they just didn't bite in there. I mean, the bottom line is they didn't catch him in the Beaver River. Don't know why.
But as meticulous as he is, as thorough a practicer as he wouldn't have gone in there if he didn't know that there were some bass in there. He didn't just make a bonehead move, right?
Right. I mean, he obviously had to have a lot of fish in there to keep going back.
Same thing. This is from day number 2 when he zeroed. Really tough day for Takahiro Omori.
Tried a different strategy. Came right back to his main strength with that flipping stick. He loved fishing that shallow water. And again, I have to say, I like his style. One of his best friends is Rick Clun, the only guy to win back-to-back Classics. And I know Takahiro wanted to be the second guy to win back-to-back Classics.
All right, it happened for Rick Clun, the Superman. You mentioned that, Mark Menendez, but that's the only guy it has happened for. Back-to-back Classics, one of the hardest things in the world to do. Take a look at these numbers from the year after. Why is that?
They're swinging for the fences. They want to win it again. They've done it once. They know what it can do for their careers. They want to win, so they take all stops.
It is super hard to repeat. This is the toughest tournament in your life. It's also the biggest tournament of your life, and it's just tough. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's tough to win back-to-back. That's why we call him Superman when Clun did it, because it just doesn't happen. 19th is the highest place anybody's finished after winning it.
Wow. All right, Robbie Floyd on the water, following Tak throughout this tournament. Not out there today, but I know you observed some very key things about Tak during this 2005 Classic, Robbie.
Yeah, and 2 of our favorites, Takahiro Omori and also Greg Hackney. They both chose the Ohio. They lived and died by the Ohio, both of the guys up there. And for the same reasons you just mentioned out there, they were going for the largemouth bite. I talked to Hackney yesterday, and he said, you know what, if he had to do it again, he would do it again. He fished them all, and he caught some of those 1-pounders. But in his pre-fish, when he was here a month ago, he went to the Ohio, and he caught a 2, a 3, a 4 right off the bat. And he said his decision was made right then. So you're wondering, why do you keep going back to the well when you know there's no water in it? They knew that they were out there, and it is the exact same thing you said. They were able to stick with their strengths, flipping on there, and the difference was, you see how sunny it is today? When they were there at pre-fish, it was overcast. You better get there early, and they haven't had that chance. It burns off really fast. It's been way too sunny for the Ohio.
All right, thank you very much, Robbie. Some good observations there. Takahiro not making the cut here. He wasn't the only big name who did not make the cut. Just take a look at those list of famous faces here. Much was expected of Hackney, as Robbie mentioned. Larry Nixon not in there as well. Dean Rojas almost took the Classic last year. So which one's the biggest shock to you guys of those who didn't make the Classic among the big names?
Larry Nixon, you know, he was fishing for the second Classic, Shaw. He was also trying to compete to get to the Toho Classic, and I thought he would do that. I really did.
And his Classic victory was on the Ohio River. Yeah, I agree with you. But Clun also, you know, he wants to win in all 5 decades. He's done it 4. My goodness gracious, this was a big one for him. And let's just hope he comes back next year and makes it for the next one.
All right, the guy who won the greatest angler of all time prize this year, voted on the internet by all the bass fans all across the country, was Rick Clunn, the only guy to win back-to-back classics. He's a guy worth remembering. He'll be back to the classic as well. 1976 was the first classic for Rick Clunn. Lake Guntersville, Alabama, 59 pounds, 15 ounces. That's a little bit different than the scene right here, but the money is different too. 25 grand for winning that classic. You get 10 times that much for winning this one here. 1977, Lake Toho, Florida, backed it up. 27 pounds, 7 ounces. Rick Clunn, Roland Martin as well. Both back in the mix when we come back here in Pittsburgh.
Rick is pretty much the man, the boss, the Mac Daddy. He has won everything he's ever fished in. The pimp, the firefighter. I mean, this guy is the ultimate. It's just phenomenal the things that he's done and achieved. Rick Clunn is the man.
We're back, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic coverage continuing on for the next 2 or 3 hours here. Man, we've got a lot to show you. So much fishing from the water. So much at stake here in the biggest event of bass fishing. They're talking about the man, the boss, the Mac Daddy. They're talking about Rick Clunn, of course. What a big name. The biggest name in the sport of bass fishing. That's sort of been well, made official this year. A tremendous coverage of this event called the Greatest Angler Debate. First time ever. Of course, the argument's been going on since the beginning of time. I'm a better fisherman than you. Who's the greatest fisherman of all time? Well, it was made official this time. Decided to take a vote with all the fishing fans in America. They had 35 possible nominees. The list was taken down to 10. The 10 went up on the internet. Everyone got to vote on it. Came down to 2 finalists, Roland Martin and Rick Clunn. And earlier this week here in Pittsburgh, well, they made the announcement, made it official. Rick Clunn was voted the greatest angler of all time. Some of the reasons we've heard at the top of this segment here, why he's considered so great by everyone. His accomplishments speak for themselves. Rick Clunn has done it all in the world of bass fishing, including 4 classic titles. That's probably the main one. 29th trip to the classic. How unheard of is that? Will that ever be equaled? Of course, he's got an Angler of the Year title. First angler to win $1 million. He's done it all.
He's done it all, and I tell you what, just about every guy here in this classic field tries to emulate part of Clunn's philosophy, the way he goes about things. We all do, because we know that's a winning track, and we all try to emulate a winner.
Everyone is so aware of Rick Clunn and his closeness with nature, his ability to think like the patterns of nature and live the patterns of nature. He stays in camping parks. He stays out. He doesn't go to hotels. A really unique approach to bass fishing a lot of people now have emulated through the years.
Absolutely. Rick here is in downtown Pittsburgh and probably doesn't even notice the skyscrapers, the bridges, and everything we have around us, Tommy. He's so focused on what's going on the water, noticing little small things in the environment and letting his tactics ride on that.
All right. A guy who also famously never asks for help when he comes to a new fishery. A lot of anglers known for doing that sort of thing. He's always disdained it, said it's not really the way to do it. You put your luck in the hands of someone else, he says, when you do that, and I think that's a great point as well.
I think it is. He's always talked about that as almost like a drug, and we don't want to do that, so you get a taste of that. He goes his own way, finds those fish on his own, and that's what's made him such a strong angler.
Well, congratulations to Rick Clunn for winning that greatest angler of all time. Congratulations also to Roland Martin. Both of those guys standing by right now on the convention center floor with Jerry McInnes. This is going to be a great visit here.
Yeah, Tommy, I'm just kind of laid back here with the best 2 bass anglers of all time. Nothing, no big deal.
Taking her easy.
This is fantastic. I'm going to start with my buddy Roland here to my right. You know what I want you to do?
What's that?
I want you to critique him. Why is he one of the 2 best anglers in the world, or the best angler?
Okay, without a doubt, we're talking about the Classic and being the Super Bowl of bass fishing. We've all established that as a criteria, and right away by winning 4 classics, that's so monumental. That in itself overshadows my accomplishments. I mean, I've not won a Bassmaster Classic, so that in itself, I've done other great things, and I'm proud of them. But I've not done that, and that in itself is monumental.
Okay, Rick, I have to turn here and pull the same thing on you. I would like for you to tell me why Roland is on the highest level.
Well, I think it's important to understand in any sport the historically how that sport became what it was. Tiger Woods is very good at that. He understands where Jack Nicklaus set the bar, not only where the bar is at, but how the bar got to where it's at. And Roland was a trailblazer, and he is the greatest angler to me in that respect, because I don't care who comes behind us and who understands this, but the guy that cuts the path through the jungle first it's a lot harder than those who run that path behind him. And so, you know, I was hoping when they said there were 70,000 votes and all of that, my heart, ego wants to win, but your heart was hoping they say it was a tie.
Well, I'm sorry, no offense, Rick. To me, it was a tie. It was a tie. I'm sitting here with both the greatest anglers of all time.
I'm so honored because, you know, looking back, I would have never thought I would have gotten this high. I would have been tickled to death to be in the top 5, much less the top 2. So.
Well, okay, guys, we'll break from that. I want to talk about this event. I mentioned this earlier. I actually had people asking if we would be embarrassed at this low weight, and I'm thinking, I ain't even thinking about the low weight. This is such a great competition. I'm not even thinking about how many fish are being caught. You've been out on the water. You did not make the cut today, but explain a little bit of your take on the fishery.
I really like this type of event. This is the perfect championship event for one reason, and that is the guy who fishes the absolute best tournament will win this tournament. That may not be true if we go to a place like Toho, where a guy that fishes the best tournament may end up second because somebody catches a 10-pounder on him.
And a little bit, I hate to say this, but maybe a little luck involved in there?
Well, it can be because of the size fish there.
Right.
This keeps it very, very equal in that sense. One big fish is probably not going to overcome a good performance.
What do you think, Roland?
Well, one little thing that I hear a lot of people say, what about Pittsburgh? Well, you know, Pittsburgh, if you look back historically, it had no fishery 35 years ago.
Right.
And so now with the renewable resource, we know that with proper management, bass can reach any levels with genetics, proper cover, with EPA standards, and that's all being addressed now. So I see nothing but a bright future. Even though it's a little lean right now, there's a big improvement coming.
Well, I tell you what, Tommy, I know these guys are a little bit younger than I am, but I do feel like a kid out here sitting, Roland Martin on one side of me, Rick Clunn on the other side of me. How fantastic is that?
Boy, what a thrill. What a great performance. All the appreciation, all the love going to those guys from all the fans all across the country in the greatest angler debate. How great was that? Let's take a look at the tail of the tape right there with these guys. You got so many things to recommend, both of them. Again, Clunn with the 4 Classic wins, the Angler of the Year performances for Roland Martin. They're both great. I mean, it's a pity we had to choose between one of these guys.
You know, one of the things Roland did was win 3 tournaments in a row. Never been done before. We've had back-to-back winners, but 3 events in a row. And I think that's one of the things I've heard Rick make mention that he feels is one of the top accolades in the sport.
Interesting also that Rick would mention one good fish here he didn't think would overcome a good, consistent performance. What did you think of that comment, Robbie Floyd?
I think he's exactly right. But you know, the one thing that really surprised everyone out here, I think, seeing Rick Clunn with that spinning reel in his hand, but he prepared. He knew he was going to have to go away from, you know, his normal out there. He's got that little creek, Tommy, you know, just behind his house, and Jerry had talked about it before, how he's back there in a little boat. You can barely fit a canoe in there, and he's trying to do these tight confines and practicing with that spinning reel. And it was really uncomfortable for me to see him out there. Byron and I talked about it before. I've seen him out there with that spinning reel, kneeling down, pitching under docks with spinning equipment. Everybody here said, you know, you fish to your strengths, you have a chance of winning this, but you having to see some guys go outside the norm. I think that the spinning, you know, tackle and the number of guys, every single guy has a spinning reel on his boat. That's something we normally don't see, or more than one spinning reel on their boat, and that's something we normally don't see. But Rick did some early practice in that little creek behind his house in preparation for this exact instance.
All right, thank you, Robbie. Rick Clunn at the Classic has been so dominant, so very dominant. We'll take a look at those 29 Classic appearances. Another thing to keep in mind, this is his 29th appearance, a record 29th appearance. Hey, he's qualified for the 2006 Classic as well. We're going down to Lake Toho in Florida. That's going to be a whole new clean slate, something that Rick Clunn can work with there.
Certainly was, and that's the site of his second of the back-to-backs right there at Lake Toho. Toho may be a tough fishery. Weather's going to be a big part of that tournament. If we get one of those northern-type fronts that blows through, Tommy, it's going to be difficult, and that's what we want to see, the test of the best.
Isn't the converse of that, though, the fact that Toho could be absolutely magnificent? It could, in fact, be record-setting, or have I got it wrong?
Well, it's all going to be in the hands of Mother Nature, and that's where we're going to be.
All right, let's take a look at our scoreboard now. Up to the minute scores from out on the water. We got a guy who has broken into the top 10, Timmy Horton. Aaron Martens, of course, the leader still at this point. Tim Horton has moved up into position number 8 right now. Again, we stress these weights are unofficial. The only official weight on the scales at the weigh-in today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time from Mellon Arena on ESPN. All right, coming up, more coverage. Bass Center's all over it. We go to them right now.
We are at the Super Bowl of Bass Fishing, bringing you this Bass Center in-game update, the final day of the 35th Bassmaster Classic on the Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 25 anglers out on the water right now trying to win that very important trophy and the $200,000 that goes with it. Aaron Martens. Was the leader heading into today, and we go to some early action from this morning out on the water, and Martens out there catching some fish.
You know what? He's catching a lot of fish again. He's starting to catch them now, but they're not the right size. As of right now, unofficially, Aaron has one keeper in the boat. That still keeps him in the lead because the bite is so tough right now. There is a lull. Van Dam, right now, unofficially, as we see, in second place. Still doing his thing, still throwing the reaction baits. And here comes the leaderboard too, but he's throwing the reaction baits. Check out the rest of them, John.
And how about Davey Hite, Byron? Woo. He was, what, well back heading into today. What, 14th? He's all the way
up to third with 3 fish. That's what will make the difference. He actually has 3 keepers. Everybody else to this point that has actually caught a fish has only caught 1. That is the reason Davey's made such a big jump. 3 little fish right now mean everything at the Bassmaster Classic.
All right, for more, we go over to the Loudmouth Bass guys. Jay Kumar, Mark Zona, take it away.
Hey, thanks, guys. See what you saw there in that footage that we just watched. Aaron Martens, Ken Van Dam fishing around bridges. Byron gave us some awesome insight into that this morning, that the fish are actually in front of the bridges. They're fishing that current there. Current is key.
Current is the key.
Another major thing is fishing pipes. Effluent pipes, they're fishing effluent pipes. These are the pipes that throw out, sewage or water or whatever. And what you get there, you get nutrients. You get oxygen roiling the water, attracting bait fish, and you get some cooler water and current once again.
One thing, Jay, you didn't bring up right now is Davey Hite is one of the only guys in this tournament fishing below a lock and dam.
And what do you get there?
You have current coming through. Basically, it's like sitting in front of a fan and food blowing into your face. You're going to eat it.
If you're a bass.
Davey Hite has caught the most keeper bass today, and he's doing something different than the Van Dams, the Iaconellis, the Swindles, and Aaron Martens. He has something going a little bit different, and it could pay off by the end of the day because he did catch them later in the day yesterday like the other guys.
Great point.
John and Byron, back to you guys.
Thank you, guys. And we, of course, are here every half hour with an update all through the morning. Bass Center at 12:30 Eastern on ESPN2. The weigh-in at 5:30 on ESPN. Find out who wins it all. Our live coverage of the 35th Bassmaster Classic continues on ESPN2.
This Bass Center in-game update is brought to you by Citgo.
All right, lots more fishing on the way and 3 hours more of our live coverage, ESPN's coverage of the Citgo Bassmaster Classic 2005. As we look down the river, a brand new development on the scoreboard. George Cochran could be the man of destiny here. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Has moved into 5th place. What does that mean?
I tell you what, he's after that 3rd title for a Bassmasters Classic. Never count George out on a river. He's a river rat, Tommy.
All right. George Cochran, the things he's got in his favor, of course, 2 Classic wins already, knows how to win a Classic. He's won the lightest weight Classic in history, and element number 3, the fact that that tournament was right here on the Ohio River, not here in Pittsburgh, but downstream in Louisville.
Sure, he can manufacture those fish, Tommy. George is the most thorough angler I've ever seen. He fishes so painstakingly slow when he gets in an area that he knows there's some fish. That's what led to his Classic win in Louisville 1987. So he's going to be the one to watch if he can find 1 or 2 more good ones.
All right, lots more fishing, plenty going on the river. We're going to take you down on the water right now. We got some updates ready to go. Take a look at this. Gerald Swindle, 2004 Citgo Angler of the Year, working hard, working his butt off in this Classic. Take a look at this catch.
Absolutely. Gerald has said it many times. He fishes by the seat of his pants. He may have 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 rods laying out there. He goes to each situation, evaluates it, makes the proper cast just like he did here, and he's got a good one in the boat right there on a crankbait.
Swindle hanging in there at 4th place right now. Now to Davey Hite, biggest move of the day, all the way up into 3rd.
Funny to see him with a spinning rod, Tommy, but he knows how to use it. Done well in the past with several other events, making top 10s with it. Now he's trying to make a push to the front to win his 2nd Classic.
Right, and our leader, Aaron Martens. What's going on with him? Let's see if they can get this one in the boat first. Yes, okay, that looks like a good keeper. He's convinced that it is, and Aaron Martens, our leader coming into today, he's hanging on to that lead right now, and here's how he's doing it.
Imagine that, spin with the spinning reel, most comfortable with it, with a spinning rod, back on a bridge piling, and got one in the boat.
Boy, from the sound of that audio, Aaron Martens has attracted a huge on-the-water crowd. And I ask you again, is that ever going to become a factor? That many boats up around a delicate situation like a bridge pilot.
Well, I tell you what, bass fishing has some of the greatest fans in the world. They respect the anglers. They know what's at stake. So they're not going to get in there and interfere. They're going to let them play the field, be in their game face going. Those guys really don't even pay that much attention that there's anglers out there watching. The anglers want to learn. The local anglers want to see what they're doing and change their tactics so they can catch more here on the Three Rivers.
All that action from down on the Three Rivers right now. Another big development. We just mentioned it. George Cochran moving into the top 5. Again, he could be the man of destiny. What's your opinion, Kim Bain, out there on the water?
Tommy, isn't that fantastic? Now, we've heard it over the last couple of days that George really is a master at these tough tournaments, you know, when the catch rates are low, when it is really tough and the fish are finicky. George excels, and we're certainly seeing that. Unofficially, of course, he's got 1 fish in the well, and he has moved into the top 5. Now, he is fishing way up the Monongahela, and he's got some other anglers around him, including David Walker, who was also inside the top 10 coming into today. So lots of action. Back to you, Tommy.
All right. Thank you very much, Kim Bain, George Cochran. In your experience, how does he work with the crowd?
George is, like I said, he's so slow at what he does. He's very methodical. It's not going to be a problem for him to deal with the crowd. Small weights, he's used to that. He's going to be able to get himself around a small population of fish and make sure he gets them in the boat, Tommy. He's great at that.
In his mid-50s is George Cochran. He's had a great last couple of years. You know, he's coming off a great amount of momentum. Tour win last year, big money win already just a few weeks ago here. He's got momentum. It's important even for a guy in his mid-50s, I should know.
Absolutely. It's got him excited about fishing again, Tommy. That's what he loves to do. He's such a good fisherman, and he's been a championship fisherman. He excels in these events. This is when George gets to the top of the podium. He knows that he's got to be precise, knows that he's going to have only a few bites, and he'll exercise extreme care in getting those fish in the boat.
All right, it has no bearing on the competition. We will say that again, but everyone likes to keep up with stats, and of course, will this or will this not be the tournament which breaks the lowest 3-day weight total for a Bassmaster Classic?
It could be. That's okay, though, because we're seeing such high numbers of fish. It won't break a record number of non-catches because we've caught so many fish already. I've got some numbers here, Tommy. Gerald Swindle caught 37 bass yesterday. He's caught over 45 this week. Gary Klein has caught 50 bass. Aaron Martens, has managed to catch 45 bass to this point. So the bass are here. Just that 12 1/4 inch is the one that's going to make a difference.
Absolutely, and when he won that tournament downriver here on the Ohio River, that last day, that low limit tournament, he caught about 2 pounds and 11 ounces on the final day. That shows how
he caught one of the only limits in the tournament.
All right, we got a whole lot more to take a look at here. We're going to take a look at Kevin Van Dam now, who has just taken the lead. We got a new update to our unofficial scoreboard here, and Kevin Van Dam, never a guy that you want to count out of the competition. No one hates to lose, I'll put it that way, more than Kevin Van Dam, and he does not want to lose this Classic. To him, losing is second place or anywhere below that.
Well, Kevin's a winner. We all know that. We saw him win back-to-back E50s on tough fisheries. He's in another game just like that, Tommy, but he is playing for bigger fish.
All right, that top 10 is outstanding. Aaron Martens hanging in there. Davey Hite with the big move. Davey Hite, who engineered the biggest comeback of the regular tour, or actually the E50 tournament season. Davey Hite is doing that again this time. We have so much working. We got many more hours of fishing left to go, more stories to bring you, more on the water. We'll be back as our live coverage from the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic continues. 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. We're bringing you continuing coverage here on ESPN2. That is Gary Klein live fishing one of those bridge piers. There were 750 bridges and many, many more piers here in the city of Pittsburgh. Just in the city limits alone, they have played a huge part in the fish catching here at this very, very tough, very challenging Classic for these anglers here. All right. Let's take a look at currently 14th for Gary Klein, hanging in there. Came into this Classic, didn't think he was going to get in. We had some rules questions and so forth. He got a judgment in his favor. He's in for this Classic and the 2006 Classic. Gary Klein, the most Classics without a Classic win. He is the guy who would most like to put the Classic in his resume. We'll put it that way. Gary Klein working that bridge pier, been catching a ton of fish through the course of these 3 days here, especially the first 2 days. Many, many great numbers of fish, but as Gary Klein said himself, most of them the size of a candy bar. He hasn't really hit on that good combination. He's going to get the good keepers in the boat. He could still do it. hey, folks, anyone can still do it. And with 3 or 4 good keepers, 2-pounders and up, man, this thing could be blown wide open. So much working here, so much more fishing yet to come on this final day of the most important fishing day of the year. All right, let's take a look at our update from down on the water. We got Kevin Van Dam, certainly vying for this lead here and trying to make it happen for him, make himself a 2-time Classic winner. Some video from down on the water with Kevin Van Dam just a few moments ago. This is the last fish he caught. We'll take a look at Kevin in action. Moved off a bridge pier there. Fishing a bank there, Kevin Van Dam. All right, that's going to be a keeper for Kevin Van Dam, and in fact, he is our leader right now with 10 pounds, 2 ounces overall.
Starting at Point State Park, up the Monongahela, no surprise. He's moving around in the same pool, bouncing around, catching fish here, catching fish there. Went up the Allegheny, made a turnaround, back up the Monongahela, back to the lot, caught another fish, bounced back down to catch final fish, back to Point State Park. He's moving, running, and gunning, which is a typical style for Kevin.
That was his track from yesterday, but typical of the kind of moves Kevin Van Dam has been making. His 15th straight Classic appearance. At his 11th, he won his first Classic. 7 top 10 finishes in the Classic. That is an amazing, impressive record.
That is a huge record, Tommy. He is a winner in fishing. He's a winner in anything he does. If we were playing darts, he'd be trying to beat us as bad as he possibly could. Kevin is trying to do that.
Take a look at Kevin Van Dam yesterday on the water. That was a big move day for Kevin Van Dam. Kevin Van Dam's main objective, not to get out of contention for that top prize. He doesn't care about anything else.
He doesn't care about anything else. He wants to win. He wants to do it, doing it in a different fashion. Going for the gusto. He's always trying to be on the top deal. There he is eating one of those Lucky Cookies. I'm sure he's got a boatload of them right now.
The Lucky Cookies he credits for his winning of the E50 series this year. 2 wins to wrap up that E50 series, won 2 out of the 4 events.
Absolutely the best there is with a jerkbait. Always throwing a jerkbait, getting those fish to react, trying to make fish eat that aren't ready to eat. They're just making them mad and getting them to bite.
What makes him the best in the world with a jerkbait?
Well, he's so aggressive. Kevin has so many tactics in his tackle box to make those fish bite, but he stays on the move. He's looking for 5 a day that are aggressive and that are ready to eat. He's not trying to feed them. He's making them do something that they're not ready to do. When you do that, Tommy, you'll win tournaments. Make them do something that they don't want to do.
Has Kevin Van Dam ever fished a day in any tournament that he didn't think he could win the thing?
Absolutely not. I have to say, unequivocally, he thinks he's going to win. Every time he goes fishing, he's going to be the guy on top.
All right, Kevin Van Dam getting the job done here at the 2005 Classic down there on the water. Also on the water, also watching Van Dam, Robbie Floyd. Robbie?
And doing a little different place. He was lower more downtown yesterday and really sticking around where Aaron Martens, also Gary Klein, were really the only guy at the lower end of the Monongahela is Gary Klein. Everybody else went up the Monongahela. But the two catches for Kevin Van Dam today, one buzzbait to start it off, then the jerkbait to follow it up. And I said, he's going to go with that jerkbait. But he said, like Mark had just mentioned, he's going for that reaction strike. He's not going out there on the bottom. Those fish are just hanging around chilling. He's trying to get the ones that are more suspended, trying to make them, go after the bait, get aggravated. Hey, you're in my territory. I want to eat you up, and it's obviously paying off. He's got 2 fish, and he's doing it in a different area. Where he was catching his fish, or the area of water he was covering was much lower yesterday in the Monongahela, but he's going up there where everybody else is. And I just got sight of Jeff Reynolds. He's done away with the alligator. Now he's working his way up the Monongahela. Pretty soon we won't have anybody left in the other, we might as well call it the one river right now, unless people go up to the Iaconelli. But Monongahela is where it's happening right now for KVD.
All right, thank you so much, Robbie. We can't see exactly. Of course, we can see behind you, but from our vantage point over the Allegheny River, we can't see Robbie, but we can see some other anglers, and there he is. Gary Klein still going at it right down there, and Mark Menendez, the bridge pier, the typical deal for this. This is going to be the symbol of the 2005 Classic, I think, the bridge pier in Pittsburgh.
It sure is. We watched Gary pull up there yesterday, and he caught 4 fish in a row. He's just about to get his boat positioned in the right position to make that pitch to that bridge pier with the drop shot, Tommy, and he caught 4 in a row there. I asked Gary early this morning. He said those were just small Snickers bar fish, but he had caught good keepers doing this elsewhere in the river.
Come on, Gary, do it for us. Catch one for us right now. Catch a keeper. Wouldn't that be great? Let's take a look at Gary Klein. The most appearances, as we said, without a win. Gary Klein, super frustrated, of course, in New Orleans. Finished second, 2003 to Michael Iaconelli. He's behind Mike Iaconelli one more time at this Classic.
Well, he was there in the 1987 being on this river where he really had a chance to win. The locked him out. He wants to make a jump on it. He got kind of he didn't get as much practice as everybody else with the qualification that he had, the discrepancy in points. They settled that. They gave him an invitation, but he missed practice, Tommy, and it's helping him. I think by the fact that he didn't come with any preconceived notions, that this has given him a free mind to attack the water, see what's available, fish the most readily available cover. And there you see him fishing the most readily available cover in downtown Pittsburgh.
Still waiting, Gary Klein. He's currently in 14th place. We'll keep our eyes on Gary Klein right now. The man on top right now, again, Kevin Van Dam. We talked about what a fierce competitor he is. It even rubs off on other people. Kevin Van Dam was actually what they call the guide for the angler who won in his division at the Junior Bassmaster Classic. This is sort of a new movement at the Classic, a great chance for these young anglers to show off their skills.
We've got children from 11 to 14 and 15 to 18. We got 87 contenders represent all the states with the exception of 4 states this year.
Heather Holtman, Wisconsin. My name's Brandon and I'm from Iowa.
Anthony Stantz from Salt Lake City, Utah.
They're just sitting there next to their pros, and they're heroes.
Being out here with the pros is the best thing in the world.
I love all the fishing, but I can't get to hold my mercy. Hey, 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 hey. Get her done. Hey, he's got innings, gets it done.
Nice stuff. The new deal, great deal for the kids at Junior Classic.
That is truly Bassmaster University right there.
Oh, man,
right there, getting it hands-on, showing them how to tie it, how to rig it, how to do it. And did you see those kids' faces? They were listening for every word.
Absolutely, and our winners certainly fired up. We saw that on that piece of tape right there, and they are with us live right now. Our winners with Jerry McKinnis down on the convention floor. A couple of good anglers maybe going to challenge you someday, Jerry.
I tell you what, Tommy, I've brought you some great guests today.
You have indeed.
I have Joey on my right here and Scott on my left. Joey is from the state of Washington, Nanina. Do I have that right? Nanina, that's your last name.
Yeah.
Do you have to do this when you say it?
It works out because it's Italian.
Well, you got to fish during the competition, and incidentally, you're in the age group from 11 to 14.
Yeah.
And you got to fish with Kevin Van Dam. That had to be no big deal, huh?
That was amazing. When they called it, I was just like shaking. I couldn't sleep that night. That was my hardest night to sleep. It was the night I knew I was going to get to go fishing with Kevin.
And what does he do in the boat with you? He really doesn't do a whole lot. He's not allowed to do a whole lot.
No, he sat there listening to some music on his MP3 player, sunglasses, and read the newspaper.
Read the newspaper?
Yeah, ate some granola bars. And well, me and my partner Brittany fished.
I'll bet you Kevin Van Dam is not reading the paper right now, is he?
No.
Are you pulling for him?
Yep, he's in the lead too, so I'm pretty excited.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to Scott Getting from Rhode Island. Yep. You have got to be pulling for Iaconelli. No way you could not be pulling from him.
Yeah, Iaconelli's the man. I mean, I just liked him ever since I started fishing.
Can you dance like he does?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Don't feel bad about that, neither can I. But you are from Rhode Island.
Yep.
And what would you consider your home water?
Johnson's Pond.
Johnson's Pond. Yep. All right. And what would you normally fish Johnson's Pond with? What kind of a boat? A big bass boat or a little flat bottom?
Yeah, my
canoe?
stepdad's got a bass boat.
And you won the age group from 15 to 18.
Yep.
And who was your boater?
Jimmy Mize.
Jimmy Mize. You had the winner there for a while, didn't you? Did you guys actually pick up several tips from all these guys?
Oh, yeah. Anytime you go out with a pro, you're going to pick up something you don't know.
Okay, they're asking us to get out here, but I got to ask you. One last question. Being the champion, does it help you pick up chicks?
I haven't tried yet, so I don't know.
We'll work on that, Tommy.
All right, you guys talk about that at some length there. Thank you, Jerry McInnes, and congratulations to our junior Bassmaster Classic champions. We're going to get an update from down on the water. Michael Iaconelli has yet to catch a keeper today, and as a result of that, he is plunging down that leaderboard. He's gone from the top 5 down into 6th place right now. Let's take a look at some of his more recent highlights down on the Three Rivers.
You know, Michael's very adept at fishing this. He's got lots of fans here, signing autographs with all the fans. You know, he's getting game face on right now.
Prosperity, South Carolina.
That was at the launch earlier today.
Oh, God, sorry.
All right, he's happy to hook up with some fish.
Yeah, baby, number 1.
All right.
725, first fish on the board, baby.
That was a quick start. Checking the fish on the board, making sure they're long enough.
Oh, it didn't do it. Boy, that's where the drama is this week. So many fish that are 11 3/4 inches. That is such a big part of the deal.
That's the frustrating part of it. But when you do get one that you can see is of the right size, you better make sure you get him in the boat. I don't expect Mike to be down on the leaderboard, fall down too far. He's been fishing well for several years now, so I expect him to move right on up the leaderboard here soon.
All right, right now he is still falling down the leaderboard. He's gone from 6th now to 7th place, so it's imperative for Ike to start catching some kind of keeper some way.
Well, you know he is going to be giving it his all. He's not going to slow up one bit. He may not even take time to dance today, Tommy. He is going to be working hard. He's been in the momentum, he says. He's ready to go, working hard. He's not going to stop till the clock drops, and he has to be back at Point State Park.
Is there any chance he's going to make some major drastic change in his approach, in the techniques he's using, and the places he's fishing?
Well, they're catching so many fish during the day right now. High numbers of fish, 25, 30 fish some guys are catching. Mike has been pretty steady at catching 8 to 12 a day, but his keeper count has been higher than the average angler has been here in the tournament.
All right. Kevin Van Dam on top of the list right now. Kevin Van Dam, as we look at our leaderboard, remember, these are unofficial weights that we look at here during the coverage of the Classic here. All right, Tim Horton has moved into 5th place.
Wow.
As you can see right there, that
Big
is huge.
move.
He is moving up the board in a big way. Jumped ahead of Iaconelli and George Cochran, but Kevin Van Dam with those 2 keepers, pretty good fish, have got him with 10 pounds and 2 ounces. He's the man on top right now, but things are changing. A lot more of a shuffle before we get done with this whole thing today.
Oh, it is a 2-step shuffle, and it's going to be a horse race to the very end. I'm still waiting to see one of those 4-pound smallmouth get caught, Tommy. I expect it. It's going to happen. It's going to make the big difference.
All right, we have so much more to go, so many more emerging stories, people moving up, people moving down. We're on track of it all. We're tracking it all with Bass Track, and we're out on the water as well. We got so much more coming up for you when we return.
This is going to be an extremely close event.
Yay! From start to finish, be the closest one we've ever had.
It's going to come down to ounces.
Probably the best Classic ever, because the 25th place will have a chance to win.
It's going to be drama. Yeah! There's going to be some guys just on pins and needles.
Every ounce is going to be critical.
You might even see a tie, who knows?
Well, we don't know about a tie yet, but all the above statements are correct. There's going to be drama. It's going to come down to a matter of ounces. So many stories here at this 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. 6 anglers without a keeper through day 2. Man, that's unbelievable. And no angler has caught 2 limits through the length of this competition.
It's
That's
been
amazing.
tough, but the thing I see there is in the top 5 right now are all past anglers of the year. They're all motivated. That's a unique statistic, Tommy.
Oh, man. 5 anglers of the year in this competition.
In the top 5 right now.
Just incredible. All right, so much happening out on the water. We are on top of all of it for you. We've got reporters out there, a dozen or more cameras out on the water, gathering all the information
and
for
this
you.
View.
All right, and Tim Horton, we just caught some earlier today, a part of his big move that he has made all the way up into the top 5 right now. Tim Horton out on the water.
This river will produce 8 and 9 pound stringers. We've seen 2 fish right around the 3 pound range weighed in. Realistically, someone can catch 2 of those to go with a limit and catch 8 or 9 pounds. If you catch 8 or 9 pounds, you're in that top 12. You're gonna have a chance to win.
Smile.
The
2-pounders on everyone's mind.
Timmy with a spinning rod spends a lot of time at home in the winter fishing in his hometown on the Tennessee River with a spinning rod, so it's no surprise to see him fishing this way. Has got 2 fish in the live well today. His unofficial overall weight is in the 8.5 to 9 pound range.
All right, that was earlier from Tim Horton. Of course, he's engineered his way up to 5th place. Robbie Floyd, I know you're keeping up with the Tim Horton story. It's a big one at this point in the proceedings.
Yes, and when I talked to Tim yesterday, he said he was going after the schooling fish. He is way up the Monongahela. He's around the same place that David Walker and George Cochran have been. And he actually figured out something yesterday because he went to the smallest bait he possibly had that was a pop bar, little topwater popping bait. He said it looked like, I mean, it is so tiny, small, you know, hooks on the thing. It was actually more of a panfish, maybe crappie type lure. He was surprised he even had it into his tackle box, but that's what he's using. He's moving up, and I would definitely not count out Timmy.
All
Back
right.
to you, Tommy.
All right. Thank you very much, Robbie. That's a surprise. Some guys sizing up on the first day to get results. Tim Horton sizing down. The angler from Muscle Shoals, Alabama, won the Angler of the Year trophy his rookie year on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. That is some going right there, and he has been impressing people ever since. That was back in 2000. He's looking for a win. It's been a couple of years between wins for Tim Horton.
And strangely enough, his last win was in Florida at Okeechobee, and the one prior to that, Lake Toho.
Lake Toho. He's in for the Classic 2006. All right. All right, the Bass Center in-game is coming up next as we take a look at Heinz Field, home of the Steelers, who started their training session for the new season today up in Latrobe. On to Bass Center. We'll be right back.
The clock is ticking. Only 5 hours of fishing left to determine the winner of the Super Bowl of bass fishing, the Bassmaster Classic. We are at Pittsburgh's Point State Park. Good morning once again, everybody, along with my partner, Byron Velvick. I am John Kerniff. 5 hours left to determine.
Yeah, it's coming down now. It's happening. It's getting close. The weigh-in is almost upon us.
The weigh-in on ESPN 5:30 Eastern, and let's check out some of the on-water highlights. And Gerald Swindle's caught 5 fish so far today, but what, just one in the live well?
Only one's keeping. That's the problem. Battle of the keepers. This is live on the water earlier this morning. Aaron Martens, unofficially in second place. Again, on the water live this morning. He has caught 5 keepers, or no, let's see, Aaron's actually caught 2, but 1 kept. Good 50% ratio. Kevin Van Dam, currently the leader as of right now, and he's catching fish, and he's catching keepers.
Got 2 keepers for KVD unofficially right now. He's in the lead as we look at the live leaderboard.
But wait a minute.
Okay.
There's been a change. Even since this leaderboard, we have new information that Tim Horton has just moved into the top 5. That's not even shown here on the leaderboard, but Tim Horton just put 2 in the well. Unofficially, right now, Tim Horton has penetrated the top 5, and that is key here. Watch how fast changes are being made.
Yeah, look, Tim Horton was 9th just moments ago. Now in the top 5. All right, let's go over and check in with Jay Kumar and Mark Zona.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot. Listen,
Jay, things are changing fast right now.
Really fast, and you know what? This might be history in the making because what we're seeing here, everybody, I don't know if we have some stats. We can go to that panel real quick. We have some guys that if they win the tournament, they have come from so far back on day 1, they would make history. Davey Hite started in 30th. If he wins, that's a record. Gerald Swindle, 15th. If he wins, that's a record. Dave Wallach, if he wins, that's a record. Same with Walker and Scott Rook.
Jay,
so far, nobody has won the Classic from higher than 14th place on day 1.
Jay, one thing that's not on there, though, a guy heading the other way. The start of today, Mike Iaconelli was in 2nd place, and right now, Mike does not have a bass in the boat, a keeper bass.
Whoa.
His worst case scenario, he had a keeper bass in the boat at 7:55, and right now on day 3, big 0. Jay,
yeah.
That's huge right now.
Yeah, I thought he was on him too, man, absolutely.
Definitely. Mike Iaconelli has to make a push in the next few hours if he's going to make it.
He's not the only one, Z.
Exactly.
All right, man.
John and Byron, back to you.
All right, yeah, it is just very exciting right now.
I got one more stat for you. The guy leading the Classic at the second day can win it. 62% have won it. That's it.
All right, now back to our live coverage.
This Bass Center in-game update is brought to you by Lowrance Electronics.
10 a.m. in Pittsburgh, PA, and that means the convention center is open, the Lawrence Convention Center. One of the big events at the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic is the ESPN Classic Outdoor Show. Man, you can find it all in there. $40,000 bass boats to high-tech underwear. It's all in there. We're watching our big three today. The top men when we started the competition this morning. Aaron Martens was the man in the lead. Now Kevin Van Dam has overtaken him. Iaconelli down to 7th place, which is the biggest surprise. I bet I know, Mark Menendez, which surprises you the most.
Well, that's a big surprise that he hasn't been successful yet, but he caught him late yesterday afternoon, so watch for Iaconelli to make a big move. You know, Kevin's there again. He's fishing for bigger fish. We've got Gary Klein right over our shoulder right here.
Take a look. Yeah.
This is a first in Classic coverage that we can actually watch the fishing. He just released a fish just a second ago, still fishing that little drop shot rig around the bridge pilings.
All right, you thought that was a keeper. I did too. That looked pretty good. It must have been one of those 11 3/4. There must be a million of them in the Three Rivers right here. Well, Gary Klein currently down there in 14th place. He's got a long row to go before he gets back up into contention. I'm not saying it can't be done, but we'll keep an eye on him, obviously, literally right here. But Aaron Martens is certainly the big story so far in this Classic. The winner coming into this, or the leader coming into this final day, and unofficially in 2nd place right now behind Kevin Van Dam. He self-described himself to me the other day as, I've been a nature boy ever since I was born. His dad used to take him backpacking up in the Sierras. That's where he learned to catch tiny fish up in the little ponds up there. Learned to eat them because his dad wanted him to catch food for the camping trip and for the hiking trips up there, and that's where he developed his love for fishing. 32 years old, again, from the San Fernando Valley, originally in California, the LA area, now lives in a Birmingham suburb of Alabama, Leeds, Alabama. Best finish, 2nd place in 2002 and 2004 for Aaron Martens. He could be the Phil Mickelson of bass fishing, the old Phil Mickelson anyway. You see, Aaron Martens has never won the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. 2nd in his last 2 appearances, while Phil won his major at the 2004 Masters. So a lot of parallels between Aaron Martens. Phil Mickelson is only 6th appearance in the Classic for Aaron Martens, and at 32 he's got plenty more ahead of him. And I tell you what, it was a very special person in his life, very close person in his life, started preparing him for this day way back even before he was in high school.
Aaron Martens grew up dreaming about one-day fishing in the Bassmaster Classic. Not your typical focus for a kid from California, but he got help from a family decision in high school that let him focus 100% on his dream.
When I was at school, I was playing volleyball, and I got pretty good at it. My dad was all excited about me maybe getting a scholarship and going to college with it. I was like...
Aaron and I were fishing tournaments, and they were on Saturday. So it actually came down to choosing volleyball or fishing on Saturdays, and we talked about it very seriously. And my husband said there was no money in fishing, and I said there was no money in volleyball, and the rest is history.
Aaron and Carol were a dominating duo in California team competition, winning tournaments and Angler of the Year awards.
We go fishing every day of the week sometimes. We worked hard, and we did very well from the very beginning, but the better we did, the more we worked at it, and before long, we were fishing all the time and always coming home with a check.
I think we got our Angler of the Year in our first circuit we fished. I was pretty amazed, and then that really fired me up. I was like, started getting more involved in the sport and really trying hard.
Aaron has finished 2nd in his last 2 Classic appearances, last year to Takahiro Omori and in 2002 to Jay Yellis. While he doesn't like it, 2nd place is something Martens has accepted.
I've had 5 times more seconds than first in my life of fishing so far. After a while, you just get used to it. Like, I know the Classic's a big tournament, but I got many more ahead of me.
Aaron has grown into a man, and he takes defeat as well as the victories. And I think as a parent, that makes me really proud that he's able to be 2nd and still be happy about it.
Despite not having a Classic win under his belt, Aaron scored an impressive victory this season, winning the Angler of the Year award. If he does end his streak of 2nds and wins the Classic, Aaron would join Mark Davis as the only angler to win Angler of the Year and the Classic in the same year.
I'd like to repeat that. That'd be nice. That'd be like making me a superstar. But I don't know if I want that. I like where I'm at. I can focus really well, and I don't get the huge crowds. It's more peaceful.
Whether he wants it or not, Aaron will get plenty of attention in Pittsburgh.
We have a big entourage coming because we have a lot of relatives back in Pittsburgh in that area. So we're going to be cheering Aaron on, and it'll be the most exciting thing ever for Aaron to win the Classic this year.
Now that I've gotten 2 seconds in the Classic, I really want that more than anything. It's like, will I ever win it? You know, I mean, I'm still young, but it's, God, I've been so close twice. It's like, how many seconds can you get? I want another one.
All right, you win the Angler of the Year title. You get painted large up on the wall here at the Convention Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. If he wins the Classic, that picture is going to be about 4 stories tall. Aaron Martens on his way to try to be the first since Mark Davis to follow up the Angler of the Year title with the Classic trophy. When we come back, a couple of proud parents Jerry McInnes is going to visit with Aaron Martens' parents. That's when we come back.
Hey, Takahiro, better do a few more, because I'm breaking 25-pound lines.
25?
Yeah, they catch sharks on that. Small sharks, but they're still sharks.
The competition is wild. The Citgo Bassmaster Classic, presented by Lowrance, tonight at 5:30 p.m. on ESPN.
Continuing coverage of the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. We're in Pittsburgh on the Three Rivers. If you're on the Three Rivers, I don't care how you get there. You got to be getting close to weigh-in time anyway. 5:30 this afternoon on ESPN. Get on up to Mellon Arena, row, motor, whatever you got to do. Take a cab, take a taxi, take a bus. We don't care how you do it. It's going to be a big scene tonight. The big weigh-in at 5:30 p.m. You'll see it Eastern Time here on ESPN. Aaron Martens started the day in the lead. Final day of competition, championship day of the tournament. Kim Bain has some more background on us for the man from Los Angeles originally, Aaron Martens, on a significant part of his life as well. His wife, Leslie, right, Kim?
That's right, Tommy. Actually, I caught up with Leslie the other day and I said, Leslie, you know, how are you feeling about Aaron's position in the tournament? And she said, you know, he's been second so many times. I'll take her first, of course. Who wouldn't take her first? I'll take a third, a fourth, a fifth, a 10th. Maybe even a 50th, just no more seconds. So that was really funny. But you know what? Aaron has got so much support out here, not only from his family, but people on the river just cheering him on. He's just a great kid. He's really friendly. He's awesome. And anyway, Jerry McInnes has got Aaron's folks with him. What's going on, Jerry?
Well, Kim, I tell you what, I guess I don't need to announce to anybody that the show doors have now been open. We've got us a great crowd back here, and I have the most nervous parents that you can imagine sitting up to my left and the right. I have Carol Martens with me and Jerry Martens to me. And I'm going to start with Jerry, and this is kind of funny because Carol has been so prominent in all the stories of his fishing that we are making a big announcement here that Aaron has a father.
Right.
and what part did you play? Not in becoming his father, but in his advancement as a great fisherman.
Well, we have 2 older sons, and Aaron was the youngest, and I broke him into trout fishing in the Sierras at a much younger age, and we did a lot of extensive backpacking trips, and he was a good fisherman at that time, but the trout fishing was the beginning, but the mother really took over and got him into the tournament bass fishing, which is a lot more pressure.
Well, and of course, then I guess what you're saying is you got him involved in the adventure of the outdoors.
Outdoors, backpacking.
And then Jerry had got awful specific, and now here we are to Carol. And Carol, you weren't always a big bass fisherman, were you?
No, Aaron and I really started at the same time shore fishing, and we caught bass by accident. We were going for those crappies to eat.
And then what moved you into bass fishing then?
Seeing all those boats go by one morning at Casitas Lake. Aaron just sat there in the wake going, I want to do that. And a year later we were doing it.
Well, you know, the Bassmaster Classic started in 1971. I believe 1971. Okay. Aaron was born in 1972.
August 72.
And so he never knows of a time when there was not a Bassmaster Classic.
No, he watched you and TV. That's how he got his start, really. It was watching all the fishing.
Well, no, now that was my father. That wasn't me.
You're his hero, Jerry. What can I say?
Really, when did the tournament angling grab hold of you?
It was like in the mid-'80s, around 84, 85. I forget some of that. It seems so long ago. Because bass fishings are alive now. You know.
Well, it is so. You and I have known each other for some time, and this is the first time I got to find out, like everybody else, that Aaron has we are so proud of you guys. We are proud of Aaron and what he has accomplished. I would like to know, can you throw out any kind of a prediction for me?
I really feel.
And don't be personal about this.
I feel in my heart that Aaron should win this. I have never felt that before. I just feel like it should happen.
I think it should win. It needs to.
And I'm praying hard.
Well, Tommy is currently second, I understand, but you can pretty much call it off. Carol says this is his.
Mom's always right.
Well, I'll tell you what a great support system for Aaron to have a couple of parents like that, along with wife Leslie. That is so great. We're not going to call it off, though. I think on second thought, we'll keep this tournament going. I think there's too much exciting stuff going on, including that of Aaron Martens out on the water earlier today. We go down to the Three Rivers, and Aaron Martens, who had a big day yesterday, trying to keep up, trying to keep pace. He's an ounce behind Kevin Van Dam at this moment, but this was earlier.
If there ever was a classic scripted for a spinning rod, this is it here at the Three Rivers, Tommy. Fishing to his strengths with light line, 6-pound line, possibly 4-pound line. This is how Aaron likes to fish, small bait, light line in difficult conditions. And you can see that's what made him Angler of the Year. Good job. Sounds like he's got a pretty good gallery behind him.
Yes, man, and it's echoing off those bridge piers, so Aaron Martin's got a good crowd following him. I think that charges him up. And when he won the Angler of the Year title at Table Rock Lake, he had a crowd that included as many anglers, pro anglers, as it did just sightseers and fishing fans out there. He really is an angler's angler. All the guys like to watch him, his techniques, how he works, what he chooses in the way of baits especially.
Absolutely, because most of us as anglers, we've all grown up in shallow southern water impoundments where we use big tackle, 20-pound line, half-ounce jigs, big spinner baits. And spinning gear to some of our other anglers on tour is kind of a mystery. And to go and watch firsthand, what a learning experience for even the professional angler.
He marches to the beat of a different drum. He doesn't go about things exactly the way all the other anglers do out on the water. You'll see him, you'll drive by him on a lake or at any tournament, and you could see him with got all his tackle spread out on the deck of the boat. He's going through this and that, choosing, rubbing his chin, making decisions. He does not make snap decisions about what to do. He tries to look at every piece of tackle he's got in his boat sometimes before he ties something on.
Very well versed. Takes a lot of time to make those difficult decisions and has kind of a unique situation, Tommy. Aaron is colorblind, so he has to be very, very careful in where he places his lures and keeps it organized.
Aaron Martens currently in second place, trying to do something that has been hard to do for Angler of the Year winners in the last 5 years. Let's take a look at how those AOY winners have fared. So the best place was Davey Hite with the 9th place. Well, Kevin Van Dam, actually, after 1999, won a 9th place. But, man, it's been really tough to try to get up to that classic. Aaron Martens finished 7th in 2005. After winning that Angler of the Year thing, and boy, I tell you what.
Well, this is going to absolutely change. That graphic will change because if we quit right now, Aaron would be in second. So we're headed to a different direction.
All right. Well, we got a lot more to look forward to. The Angler of the Year winning the Classic is huge. Every fishing fan knows that. All the fishing fans are getting ready for weigh-in time. That's coming up later today, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. A lot of action in the convention center, plenty of action on the water. A lot more to come, so stick around. We continue with our coverage of the Citgo Bassmaster Classic 2005 from Pittsburgh, PA. You might as well call it the City of Champions. It certainly is. Names like Bradshaw, names like Clemente, the Steel Curtain, Franco Harris, the Immaculate Reception, the Penguins getting to be back in business here very soon, Lemieux. Man, what a city of pro sports, and man, we got a pro sports event supreme going on right now. That's the view from our vantage point at the convention center here. Man, we got the Panthers, the Pitt Panthers that people love to follow in Division I football. The Pirates, five championships. The Steelers with the 4 Super Bowls. Penguins about to crank it up again. 2 championships for them. We're getting ready to take a look at well, something that's got a lot of history to, and it's going to make part of the sports history of Pittsburgh. Quite frankly, the Classic winner here will go down as part of the lore and legend of pro sports in Pittsburgh. How did it all get started? Well, the recent history of the Classic, an ever-growing number of fans coming to these events, but it really had some rather humble beginnings way back when, in 1971.
One dismal afternoon in 1967, an insurance salesman named Ray Scott
his fishing trip rained out, was watching sports in a motel room when he sat bolt upright as though he had been shot. Like all epiphanies, the message was simple and clear.
I saw virtually every sport have some form of competition where the audience could observe it, but fishing didn't have that. I thought, why not?
Scott soon came up with a plan to make bass fishing a big-time spectator sport. The result was revolutionary, a fully organized bass tournament offering cash to the winners.
Well, I saw this ad in the paper, and it says, Bass Tournament, Beaver Lake, Arkansas. Win $2,000, put up 100, called Ray Scott in Montgomery, Alabama.
I had never heard of a bass tournament before in my life.
I thought it was a joke when I got the invitation. I'd never heard of anything like that.
So I don't know why I can't give you a definitive reason other than the fact there was something in my gut, something in my heart that said it needed to be done.
Despite seeing a need, Ray soon found himself running from bill collectors and struggling to keep the doors open. Just as he was getting ready to give up on his dream, the late Don Butler gave him a much-needed boost.
When Ray was trying to put these events together at the very beginning, he migrated to Don over there in Tulsa and told Don what he was trying to do.
We're driving down 31st Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he said, what do you think about the name Bass Angler Sportsman Society? Well, I didn't really care for that, but I couldn't think of anything better.
He said, what's the membership going to cost? I said, $10. Oh, he'd say, here's 10. He said, what's a life membership? I said, a life membership?
He said, a lifetime membership's $100.
Boom, laid the big 100 on me. I like to have a heart attack.
Then and now, man, what a comparison. 24 anglers in that original Classic, up to 47. You get, well, about 20 times as much dough for winning a Classic now than you did way back when. The attendance, just family and friends back in those old days. In fact, Pooley Dawson, one of the longtime members of the Bass team, been there since the beginning, was relating to one of our producers the other day. When they went to that first event out there at Lake Mead, Nevada, they took everything they needed for the Classic in terms of scales, banners, and everything in the back of a station wagon. You couldn't fit it all in 20 tractor trailer rigs right now. It really changed through the years.
Well, one of the great things about the sports history that we're having here in Pittsburgh is in Pittsburgh was the very first World Series game the same year we had our first Bassmasters Classic in 1971.
Wow.
So bass fishing is on the rise, and here it is this many years later, 35 years later in a great sports city.
First night game of the World Series, too. Kind of hard to believe. Well, a guy who's been there from the beginning and, man, who can tell that history better than anyone else, the godfather of BASS, the man who started it all, is Ray Scott. He's down there on the convention floor with Jerry right now. Right, Jerry?
And, Tommy, I love introducing him. Did this yesterday as the most unsuccessful insurance salesman I have ever known. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't even be here.
I tried it for 10 years, and this is a lot easier. I told you the problem is you call a guy with the insurance business, he'll hang up on you, curse you out. Call him about 11 o'clock at night, he's in bed with his wife or somebody, and he'll get out of bed talking an hour and a half about bass fishing.
Hey, well, you got 30 seconds to tell me how this has grown.
Oh, there's no way to, I mean, I don't know the math. It's just grown in an explosive form. It's taken off, and of course, ESPN took the sail and blew it to heavens. It's so big, Jerry. It's got to be the biggest thing going, and it's wonderful that everybody here, all my friends around here can
You almost said fans. You almost said all my fans. I heard that.
Well, I tell you, it's just great to have everybody happy, everybody smiling. Here we are in Pittsburgh, in the Renaissance city of all time.
And very quickly, now I'm going to change you again. I'm just bouncing you off the walls everywhere. Top moment in Bassmaster Classic history.
Brian Kirchhoff, 1980, what was it, 1983, 93, I can't remember, but the young man who qualified first for the Classic from a little club in Connecticut, 22 years old, got his tail beat. He was absolutely the worst performer there. He went home, changed jobs, started flipping hamburgers at night so he could fish and practice in the daytime, came back to the Classic and beat everybody that next year. That's my greatest moment.
Well, but there was something special about that moment, too.
Well, I just remember him coming off the stage, having won it, and I remember Rick Clun.
There you go.
Reached his arms around that kid and pulled him up tight, kissed him on the neck, and said, "I'm so proud of you." And this is the highest compliment you can get from a guy like Clun. And it's just it opens the door that everybody knows. Anybody, all my fans back here, know that they could be the same thing with studying Bassmaster magazine and following the sport and trying to get better every day.
Ray, and as we said this earlier, as we look around the around the floor, everyone out there in your view could possibly be the Bassmaster champion?
Any one of my fans could, for sure.
All you need to do is have some dedication and just some hard work. And he said, and buy my book.
Bass Ball. Check it out on the internet.
I got to get out of here, Tommy. Bail me out of here.
Oh, man. Always enjoy the visits with Ray. That guy has got away with words. The Renaissance city of all time is what he calls Pittsburgh. When it comes to bass fishing, it may be the Renaissance city of all time. Didn't have a bass fishery here 35 years ago. Now they've got one. Now they've got the Classic. If that's not a Renaissance, I don't know what you call it.
That is a change, and the rivers have gone through that too. We are in such pristine, clean areas now, catching so many bass here, but we need to catch some bigger ones right now.
Yeah, we got a bunch of guys really needing to catch some bigger ones. Our coverage continues now. We'll take you back one more time. 35 years ago, they called it the Mystery Classic. These guys didn't know where they were going to be fishing when they got on the plane to head that way, but they knew it when they got there.
That no one would know where they were going to fish in the tournament. It was going to call the Mystery Classic.
May I see a show of hands of everyone that was positive where we were going before last night?
There was a lot of mystery to it, which made everybody enjoy it.
People saying we're going to Mexico, we're going to Canada, you know, we're going down into Cuba.
Very important that we didn't want anybody to have fished that lake.
Literally. The idea was to take these anglers and parachute them into a lake they'd never fished and see who had come out the best.
It is the final day of competition of the 35th Bassmaster Classic, the Super Bowl of bass fishing. 25 anglers out on the three rivers here in the Pittsburgh area, gunning for the top prize of $200,000. It is just so close right now. You've got the guys who are near the top, Aaron Martens, Van Dam, Kevin Van Dam, they're battling it out. But how about Davey Hite, Byron Velvick? I mean, he has made a huge move this morning.
Yeah, and it's amazing with what little he's caught. He's caught 3 fish, but what if 3 fish puts him into 3rd place unofficially? He's going for it right now. He has really made a move, and fish right now, any fish, 12 inches or better, are precious.
Well, Davey Hite started out the day in the 14th place, and check it out unofficially. He is in the 3rd spot. Don't forget, if you are at home watching, and you can hop on the internet and visit Bassmaster.com, and it'll also keep you up to date. Tim Horton also making a move up to the 5th position. And now let's go out to the Monongahela and check in with Robbie Floyd. Robbie?
Thanks a lot, John. I want to talk about the guy who was in 4th place after day 2. The reason being, most of the Classic champions are on average. The champion has come out of 4th spot on average, and that man was Jeff Reynolds. He did something different than most of the anglers. Most of the guys are up the Monongahela. Jeff Reynolds actually started in the Allegheny. I asked him why. He says, I caught 4 of my 7 fish in this one area. I want to hit it early. We'll see if it paid off. It did not. He has 0 fish right now. He's made the turn, now working his way up the Monongahela. He said he threw a jig head or a ball head jig. Now he's trying to go with 5 different baits, going around those pilings for the bridges, just trying to find some type of pattern. So far he has found nothing, really not getting any kind of bites at all, but he's made the turn out of the Allegheny, going up among Monongahela, and I just got word that Kevin Van Dam is working his way down, so I'll try and get some word on him in just a moment.
All right, thank you very much, Robbie and Byron. 4.5 hours remain. I mean, the crunch time.
It's a waiting game, John. It's a waiting game right now. As Mark Zona from Loudmouth Bass has said, this has been an afternoon bite. He's talked about it. This is a waiting game. Everybody's hunkered down right now, ready to strike, and it will be a late bite. Watch for the weights to change. Watch for the action to hit hard between 12 and 2 before the weigh-in. It's going to be a key time. It's going to be right down to the wire. We may have, for the first time in the history of the Classic, a tie.
Unbelievable. I mean,
this is the first time ever.
Unofficially, it's all estimates. What, just an ounce or two from Van Dam and Aaron. I mean, they could be tied right now.
Don't
we won't
miss
find
this.
out until the weigh-in at 5:30 Eastern. Bass Center comes your way on ESPN2 at 12:30. Our live coverage of the Bassmaster Classic continues.
This Bass Center in-game update is brought to you by Triton Boats.
Kevin's on top here.
All right, we're back in Pittsburgh, the City of Bridges 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic, and our live coverage continues from here. Kevin Van Dam, certainly the man on top right now, but just unofficially an ounce ahead of Aaron Martens. And these two have separated themselves from the crowd a little bit. Again, all our scores are unofficial. Nothing's official till we get to the weigh-in this evening. But Kevin Van Dam, currently our leader. Surprises for you so far, Mark Menendez?
Well, Iaconelli has not been a factor this morning. He caught some fish yesterday afternoon to make a big move yesterday late. So that's one of the things I'm sitting here watching as we have Bass Track right here on our stadium here. We're looking at that. Nothing has changed much in the last little bit. That's another big surprise. Maybe the fishing's slowing down and getting a little tougher today.
Well, I think we can look at Bass Track and say without fear of being contradicted that they are catching a lot fewer keepers today. This final day, things are tightening up. All right, let's take it down to Robbie Floyd. Maybe he can expand on that a little bit more. Any notion in your mind, Robbie, why fewer keepers, and what's going on with Van Dam as well?
Van Dam's actually made his way. He's working, it looks like, down towards downtown, the Monongahela. I'm going to go talk to him. I just caught up with him. Jeff Reynolds is going up as KVD was coming down, so I thought I'd check in on our leader right now. I'll get the word on exactly how he's doing, what his mindset is. He doesn't have a problem talking to me, but you can see the flotilla of boats chasing behind him. It's not going to be easy, especially when he's fishing these bridge pilings. He's going for the jerkbait when I pulled up. So again, he's looking for that reaction strike. I'll try and get more stuff, but I don't know. It is a hot day today. I mean, it is sunny. Probably the conditions they're not looking for. It's really bright out here, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. What does that have to do with it? Much hotter today than it has been the first 2 days of this competition.
A little bit hotter, a little bit brighter, making those fish get tighter to cover, slightly deeper, and those reaction baits may not be getting deep enough to bring those fish up. It's a magnetism that pulls them up to make them do what they don't want to do, and that's just react to that bait.
All right, we are on the three rivers. The Allegheny, Monongahela form the Ohio River, and so far in this tournament, hands down, it has been the Monongahela, and that's the place to be when you're fishing places. Let's take a look out there on the Monongahela. Who's fishing where on that river? And maybe Mark could tell us why.
Well, the Monongahela has more, according to the biologist, has more fish in it. Here's George Cochran there. He's got one fish in the live well, and there's a big stretch of anglers right there that are in the middle of our pack. Look at this graphic right here. Jimmy Mize, first day leader. Cochran right there in the top 10. Timmy Horton, who made a big move early by catching a couple keepers this morning. Just keep right on down that bank. Marty Stone is in there. There's some special things there. Now, David Walker yesterday had the biggest catch of 5 pounds, 12 ounces. One of the only fishermen, but he's below the lock there, it looks like. So it's a tough situation there. They found a population of fish and they're picking them apart. Here's what's been caught the first 2 days. The Mon, it should be, the whole river should be called the Mon because that is the only place that they're catching.
That is the playing field, right?
That is the place where it is happening. The Allegheny has contributed 26. The Ohio only 9 fish, Tommy. That was the big risk factor that I thought would blow this classic wide open.
All right, let's take a look at more of Kevin Van Dam in action earlier on this final day of the 2005 Classic Championship Day. The man who wants the championship, nobody wants it more than he does.
He certainly does. He'd love to have another trophy there just to go with his double stack E50 Angler of the Year trophies. Catching a good fish here, going to be close to measuring. Caught it on a jerkbait. You can see that fish is not hooked. It just hooked under that fish's chin, flashed at that bait. That's what's been so difficult. It's hard for him to catch that fish with his hands there, Tommy. That's what's been so difficult, and he has lost several key fish in the first 2 days.
If he snags a fish, that is, does not catch him in the mouth, that is not a legal fish here, right?
No. If he snags a fish, that is a legal fish.
It is a legal fish.
Because he was not visibly looking for that fish.
Not sight fishing.
That's right. He's not sight fishing.
Great point to make right there. All right. We're going to go back out to Robbie Floyd on the water. More Kevin Van Dam news on the way.
And it did not take long, guys. He has a third fish in the boat. Kevin Van Dam made a move. I mean, the second I got through talking, he bailed out, went to a bridge piling. He already has another fish. This is the area he spent a lot of time in the past 2 days. He's coming back to it, and there's no one around. So Kevin obviously knows nothing. I mean, you got to outsmart the rest of the guys. There's no one, no one near here. Everybody else is way up in Monongahela except for KVD, and he just caught another one.
All right, KVD and Martens, Robbie, both of these guys have now put themselves a little bit of distance, a little more than a pound unofficially ahead of the rest of the crowd. How significant would you say that is, that amount of ounces, considering the conditions we're experiencing right now?
The significance of 1 pound?
Yeah.
It could be, but I'm telling you, every single person I talked to, everyone to the T said somebody's going to catch a 3-pounder. We haven't seen it yet, but every guy I talked to, I mean, not just the 25, every guy, 47 guys said somebody's going to catch a 3-pounder and really make up a lot of ground. We've yet to see it, but if their predictions are true, we're going to be waiting till the last second. We're going to be out there, and you'll have to watch a weigh-in. But I'm telling you, everybody told me there's going to be some guy jumps in with a 3-pounder, and that's going to make the difference.
Robbie, I know you were hustling to catch Kevin. Did you see what bait he caught that fish on?
No, I went to chase, and I didn't get. But when I was watching him, he was on the jerkbait, and every time that I've seen him about this time of the day, it was the jerkbait looking for that reaction strike. Very seldom he'll go to a little bit lighter stuff, but not too often. He's been sticking around the jerkbait. The same bridge pilings I saw, you know, Gary Klein, Aaron Martens, also KVD. They're all three on these same pilings the past couple of days. Gary started out here and he's moved off. KVD's coming back and catching them, but he's the only one using the jerkbait pretty much. But Jeff Reynolds, if he keeps working his way down, Jeff Reynolds was doing the same thing just a moment ago and wasn't catching them. So it may be all in the technique, guys.
Well, Jeff is our guy that is one of the top 10 anglers that has a chance, Robbie, to make that second classic. You know, make the Toho Classic, Tommy. So he needs to catch a fish or two. I'm looking at Bass Track. He hasn't got any in the boat yet. One fish might put him in. But this is a second tournament we have going on today.
That's right. There are two tournaments going on, definitely. One thing I wanted to ask you, Mark, Bass Track yesterday told us that this part of the time of the day, 10:30 Eastern time, was really the lull time for fish catching. Things pick up around the noon hour. Different conditions now, hotter, more humid, a little less current. Is that likely to happen again today? Are we going to see more action in the moments to come?
Well, it could be. You just saw Kevin make that move, catch a fish, and things are changing. So Kevin may be one of the first anglers to figure out what change he needs to make. You know, Gary and Aaron are fishing on the bottom, and the fish that move up that are in the top part of the water column, those are unaffected fish by all the pressure, and Kevin has got them all to himself.
All right, Gerald Swindle doing his best to hang in there as well. The 2004 Citgo Angler of the Year. We got some fresh stuff off the water from Gerald Swindle. Let's take a look at that right now.
If he catches my one bass, I'm gonna cut him all the way up. I'm gonna stick it in, run all the way around.
That's a keeper, I believe. I believe that's a keeper.
All right, that was earlier today, his first keeper. That's a good time to get one, and one like that especially good.
The mornings have been so critical here, Tommy, in getting those keeper bites, and those have been a little bit better than average first thing in the morning. So that's where those guys have made up their way. We're in the middle of the afternoon. Catching those fish is going to get a little tougher, but that early bite is so critical. There's another one in the boat there on that crankbait. Crankbaits are starting to play a little bit of a factor here, Tommy. It's a bait that you can take and move a lot of water with.
That length is 11 3/4. 11 3/4.
All right, 11 and 3. How many 11 3/4 can one river system contain? That is some amazing stuff. There's big G-Man right there. He is all over. He's a very photogenic guy and a very personable fellow as well. He's always got a one-liner. He has more material, comedic material, than any comic working today, I think.
Well, I think he's going to have a second career here pretty quick on that.
All right, Gerald Swindle, Hayden, Alabama, 35 years old. Hard to believe he has not won a single tournament yet on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. Still looking for his first win. Like nothing better for this to be his first win, this Bassmaster Classic.
Angler of the Year last year, ready to roll. Kim, what do you have for us right now?
Hey, Mark. Gerald Swindle, okay. I had a chance to sit down and have a chat to him, and once we got over that initial language barrier, I think we really started to communicate. Well, today he's caught 5 fish. He's got 1 keeper in the well, and unofficially, of course, he's moved into 4th place. He's fishing a small crankbait, which is pretty interesting, you know. He's obviously worked something out, and he's putting it together. When I spoke to him the first time, he said he was coming into this event. He really didn't have a strategy. His main focus was just to stay flexible. Variables were changing all the time, and he just didn't know what was going to happen. What he did know was that he was fishing shallow, moving fast, and he never caught a fish over 5 or 6 in. Let's try it again. He never caught a fish over 5 or 6 feet deep. So that's really interesting for him, sticking with the small crankbait, and it's working well for him. Back to you guys.
All right, some pretty good homework there by Kim Bain. Interesting stuff, right?
Oh, Gerald is always fishing by the seat of his pants, hustling, always got 9, 10, 12 rods, evaluating the situation and hustling. That's Gerald's game. Hustle, hustle, hustle.
All right, change is inevitable too, and we've got big changes on our leaderboard even as we speak right now. George Cochran, man of destiny. We keep harping on that. George Cochran, who has won the tournament with the lightest weight ever in Bassmaster Classic history, has moved into 3rd place right now. He is challenging the leaders, not too far behind him right now. Look out for this guy. Gerald Swindle. Man, we talk about the material that Gerald Swindle has, and it's all good stuff, too. The man from Alabama can tell it like it is.
Day 2, baby, day 2. Sitco Bassmasters Classic, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 3 Rivers, right beneath the Heinz Stadium. This is where it all goes down. You got the G-Man today. You're hanging with me all day. You're going to see what it's like to be in my world. I'm coming to your living room on ESPN2 at the Classic in Pittsburgh. Stay with me all day, folks. It's going to be a long one. We're going to make something happen.
Yes! 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 That's right! I'm in your house!
I'd run naked up the grass through a big old this rock road, just butt naked, just running like hell. I'm so fired up. Whew. Dug deep in the old G pocket. I hit a little flurry, and it reminded me why I'm here. I got it going on. You want to know why I fish? That's what I'm talking about. I'm tore down, sir, and I'm tore down. I'm $500,000 in on the money list. Look at me shake. You want to know why you go fishing? That's why. Because it don't get old. Because I ain't got no time to be breaking it down. You want it, baby? You want it? It's your living room, it's your TV, but this is my house, baby. ESPN2, Sitco Bassmasters Classic, G's house. That's where you at.
Now, first champion of the Bassmaster Classic 1971, Bobby Murray.
Hey, pal. We live in a country that'll let us go as far as we want. So how far we excel or how high we go depends on each individual.
Don't do it slow. I know how a man feels on death row. Put him on the scale, do it.
In many ways, it's all about the weigh-in. We will have a new winner. The top man in the sport of bass fishing will be crowned tonight. The final day weigh-in, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN at the 2005 Sitco Bassmaster Classic. Big day, the weigh-in's always a part of it. That's what everybody remembers about the Classic. Now we're bringing so much more coverage. We're seeing so much fishing now. That may change the total face of this great event in sports. Mark Menendez, Tommy Sanders here. Our live coverage continues here at the 2005 Sitco Bassmaster Classic. The 3 rivers here, we talk about the renaissance of the rivers. Now they are great fisheries. 70 years ago, before they built the lock and dam system, we would probably not had any water in here. We can fish in here now because we have locks and dams and pools, and that all affects the current, and the current is a big element in this fishing, Mark Menendez.
Absolutely. There are 2 things that position bass and get them in a feeding position. One is wind, which we don't have today, and current always takes precedence over wind. So those fish are relating to that current, and it's the key way these anglers can decipher the river to figure out where that fish might be.
As you run down the Monongahela, the Mon River here, as we talk about, did it a couple of days ago. It's very easy to see which is the current side of the river and which is not. It's very, very plain.
It is. It gets very, very visual, and it becomes an easy way to figure out where they are. The more current you have, the easier you see where the things break the current and those fish can get behind. An angler can visually go down the bank and find those. Less current allows those fish to fan out, spread out, and have more room to move around.
All right, let's take a look. We got a map, a current map, actually, of our playing field, of the 3 rivers right here. It kind of shows us how that current shakes out. Take a look at that and tell us what that means right there, Mark.
Well, you can see it comes off the right-hand side of that major point and then spins back hard clockwise. That's going to be a place where a fish is going to set up. It's putting him in an advantage point to take a chance to get a bite to eat. It's an ambush point, as we call it as fishermen. When the current gets harder, it pushes those fish tighter to the areas, and it makes the fisherman's job so much easier. Now, that current that exists on the surface that we see also exists way out on the ends of those deep bridge pilings, and that's where our leaders are right now.
All right. Brilliant graphic right there. Tells you a lot about what's going on. There's where that current is happening, structures like that right there.
Right around the bridge right there. Perfect place to find it.
All right, a man who knows all about current, a native of Arkansas, the money-winningest bass fisherman of all time. Larry Nixon spent plenty of hours on that Arkansas River. Jerry, you're with him right now. Great to be able to visit with Larry. Sorry he's not fishing this final day.
Well, I have to tell you, Larry and I have a lot in common. Larry is from the big town of Bee Branch, Arkansas, and I'm just north of him in a much bigger town, Ray Valley. So we're just good old boys, aren't we?
That's right. We don't have to worry about a lot of them crazy things. When you're in them little towns, you know everybody.
Yeah, that's right. If you had, real quickly, if you had anything to change from your last 2 days that may have got you in the cut, what would it have been?
Well, probably the most important thing, I think, was to get up against some of the walls maybe, or fish a few bridges or things like that where the current had the fish a little bit more activated and you had shade. But, you know, when you're on a few largemouth, and I really thought I had a good shade pattern for some good fish, and I had a lot of faith in what I was doing, and it's hard to abandon that pattern.
Well, the guys are talking a lot about current, and we really wanted to talk to you about that because I know you know a lot about it. And the strange thing about current, Larry, is most of the time you can't see it out there.
That's right.
It's happening in a blind area, but it is so important.
It's so important you really don't realize it, because what it does when it hits something like a wall or a bridge pier and it starts doing that swirling motion, well, all of your little minnows, they come to that area because they don't have to fight it a lot, but yet it creates a water temperature change there, and that's why the bass come to it, because the bait are positioned and the bass come to them same little zones because they know they're going to get food there.
Well, and so we're talking about the piers being so important. And so you might think, well, I have to go to the pier because it's such an important thing, but it's actually just changing the current, and the current is the thing that's important.
That's right. It's changing the flow of the water. The bass utilize that type of cover in the summertime because they're moving offshore, and if they don't have offshore structure, then anything that sticks out of the water and breaks the current, that's the structure they go to, and that's why bridge piers and concrete walls are so predominant right now.
And actually, right now we're having probably a lack of current, and that's some of the problem.
Well, the river itself, we had all that rain earlier in the week, and the river itself is beginning to fall from the upper pools to the lower pools. And what that does is that slows the current flow down, and it also makes the fish harder to catch.
Larry, I tell you what, I've had Roland Martin and Rick Clun with me, and now I've had Larry Nixon. Tommy, my day is wrapped up. I've done it all.
I tell you what, you have had a star-studded cast there. A little well-deserved applause for Larry Nixon. When Larry Nixon talks, man, I'm listening. I'm on it. Here's another guy who has proven that he can do it. The money-winningest of all time, Larry Nixon. Third time all-time classic appearances, too.
Mr. Megabucks, winning 4 tournaments in a row, having to make those quick decisions. But this is a tournament where the right decision, getting that extra couple ounces of fish, is going to make such a big difference, Tommy. And I'm amazed that our fishermen are still out there beating it out, trying to get that extra little edge.
All right, the conditions as you see them right now, has anything changed in the past hour of significance, of note for these anglers?
Well, I tell you, it really hasn't, other than the sun's getting higher, making the strike zone smaller. Positioning the boat, making the right cast is going to be a really, really big issue here.
All right, the most significant change score-wise in the last hour, Kevin Van Dam now has a almost full-pound lead, unofficially, of course, over Aaron Martens. And now with a report on KVD is Robbie Floyd.
I'm chasing him, and just you come to me. He moves on to another.
Oh, that's the way it goes.
I know, he has the flotilla around him, chase him. He's still using that jerk bait, and I got word he did catch it on the jerk bait. It was the first cast. He nailed it. And I said, you going to stick around these bridge pylons in the Mon? He said, yeah, he's just hitting each one of them. I also asked him, I said, are you just sticking with the jerk bait? And as he went by, he pointed at the one lure that was so popular towards the end of the E50s with Kevin Van Dam, also Mike Iaconelli. Remember the shaky head? It's back. And I don't know if he's caught one on it lately, but he has it there. Or maybe he's just teasing him with it. I don't know, guys.
You think he's going to that completely? You think he's dropping out of the jerk bait totally, Robbie?
No. I think he's definitely sticking with that jerk bait. But I said, are you solo jerk bait?
Oh, okay.
No, he pointed to the shaky head. And I don't think I've seen the shaky head in a while, but he said toggling back and forth between the two.
All right, he's got it in the mix. That surprise you?
It really does, but the drop shot has been such a huge component here, Robbie. Seeing that shaky head doesn't surprise me, because remember what he caught on at Louisville in the E50, a lake record. This may be a tactic to catch a bigger fish here.
Hotter weather, smallmouth, reaction baits. Is it better? I mean, did they ever let up on their reaction? They're a mean fish.
Well, hot water temperatures make a big difference on a bass. The warmer the water, the more they have to feed. They also will have to feed and try to utilize some energy restriction. A big feeding motion uses a lot of energy if you don't get that feed in your system. So they protect smaller areas and are trying to get bigger bites of food so that they don't have to use so much energy.
All right, Kevin Van Dam keying on those fish, making a major run at his second Citgo Bassmaster Classic. The big early run, the turnaround this morning was for Davey Hite. Got it all the way up to 3rd place. Now he's back down to 5th place. Let's take a look at Davey in action today.
I know it's kind of ready.
Davey sets the hook with a spinning rod. Getting it into the boat, the spinning rod is going to be, it's really unusual to see Davey with a spinning rod, but look at him. He knows how to handle that fish. Going to get him right up there in the boat, swing him aboard. One he is glad to see in that boat with him.
Oh, man.
Good fish right off the get-go. Going in the live well. Hooked up again just an hour later. That early bite, really, really, really critical.
Davey Hite engineered the greatest comeback of the season at the E50 event on Lake Dardanelle in Arkansas. So watch out again. Watch out for Davey Hite. You get something going again.
I would kiss you right in the lips if you're 12 inches, but I don't think you're going to be, buddy. Good try anyway.
11-inch fish, man. We have seen so many 11-inch fish today. So much heartbreak right there on that bump board.
Absolutely. It's just a matter of a fraction. They just need to be a hair longer, Tommy. It's going to be so tight to get those better fish.
All right. Well, we got Davey Hite moving down a little bit. Kevin Van Dam moving up. Here's Davey Hite's best classic finish, of course, 99. The Louisiana Delta was his big one. 1996 made a good run at it as well. Overall, one of the better classic records of all time right there.
That is a fantastic record. Been here 11 times. Those are his best finishes. And those are almost all top 10 finishes. That's Davey's attitude, looking to win, only wanting to win.
Davey Hite is a big event guy, too. You have to keep that in mind. He really keys on big events like the Classic, like the E50s. He's got 2 anglers of the year. I mean, this guy, he's a player.
Well, he is a player, Tommy. He's a very versatile angler. I really think it's neat seeing him use that spinning rod as much as he's using it right now. But I tell you what, he can slow down like he did in the Elite 50 angler chase that he caught the big fish in Dardanelle. That was just an unbelievable fish catching right there by slowing down. So he's capable of doing fast and slow.
Found one little thing, one little place. If you can get him on some fish, he's a good guy to get him in the boat, right?
Absolutely, and that's another thing here at the Classic. It's going to be power fishing versus finesse fishing, and Kevin is powering it out. That's his style, looking for aggressive fish. And he's made a move by catching a 3rd keeper today. Aaron's still fishing that slow, trying to feed it to him technique.
All right, we'll see if slow and steady is going to win the race. Such an important race we have going on right now. Our unofficial leaderboard, we take a look at it. Kevin Van Dam is the man on top right now with the lead over Aaron Martens. And now Gerald Swindle's moved into second place.
Swindle's made a big move. Here he is, fishing by the seat of his pants again. Probably pulled up to another active area and caught a 3rd fish. Moved on up there. I tell you what, that is a big jump, and it is at a critical time. Aaron has been catching tons of fish, Tommy, but he just has 1 keeper.
All right, George Cochran, not letting the leaders get out of touch with him either. He's hanging in there. This guy could still engineer something. Look out for George Cochran.
And here's a new name on the top list. Andre Moore has managed to get a couple keepers in the boat in the last little bit, pushing him all the way in the top 10.
Mike Iaconelli, one of our big 3 that we were watching at the start of today. Mike Iaconelli has dropped down. As we go to the next page, David Walker, another bridesmaid from Classics in years past, having a little trouble getting off center today.
I tell you what, Skeet, he had a limit the first day. He doesn't have a keeper right now. Things may be tightening up. They know time is of the essence right now, so they're fishing as hard as they can.
All right, Dave Wolak, the only Pennsylvania guy left in this Classic here. He's got a long way to go to get to the top. One thing that he might take some consolation in is never has a person won a Classic in his home state, but a lot of Pennsylvania fans here in Pittsburgh and in the eastern part of the state where Dave lives are pulling for him as well, and he started in 25th place. There's old Bradley Stringer, our Open Championship winner, still sitting there.
Zell told me this morning he was going to go to the Ohio and try to catch some of those big largemouth. The Ohio is just not on, Tommy.
All right, the Ohio River, surprising to you that has fallen out of the list of productive rivers among the 3?
It really has, and I would love to know what the particular thing is that has slowed the river down. It's a tough place to fish, but those bigger fish are always around on the Ohio.
All right, Kevin Van Dam with the lead right now. Swindle moving up in 2nd place. Swindle, you have to remember, has never won a tournament with the Bassmasters. This guy would really love to notch a Classic win here. They don't want to keep that. They don't want to keep that away from him.
Well, he's a river kind of guy, and he's got 3 to choose from, and Gerald has been fighting it for a while. He wants to get that monkey off his back and not having won a tournament, so he's working extra hard today. You're going to see Gerald be right there at the end of the day.
All right, Aaron Martens. All right, got a new scoreboard, some new developments right now. Okay. A new development, we take a look. Gerald Swindle has now moved into 1st place. He is looking at the Classic trophy. There's still plenty of fishing left to go. Kevin Van Dam in 2nd. All right, Bass Center in game coming up next. They're covering all the news, and this is big news. Here we go to Bass Center.
We are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, site of the 35th Bassmaster Classic, the Super Bowl of bass fishing. Hello once again, everybody. Along with Byron Velvick, I'm John Kernan, and it is the final day of action here at the Bassmaster Classic.
And changing quickly. It's going nuts out here right now.
Let's take you right now to the unofficial leaderboard, the unofficial real-time leaderboard, and Kevin Van Dam shown at the top right now.
However, that's now changed since we got ready to go on the air. Right now, Gerald Swindle has just taken over. Gerald now has 3 fish. Unofficially, Gerald now has 3 fish in the well. Kevin Van Dam has 3 fish in the well. Aaron Martens is watching his lead slip away. He only has 1. Unofficially right now, it is the clash of the Titans, as I've called it. It is a war zone out there right now on this Pittsburgh.
And there's still about 4 hours remaining. Let's go out on the river to Robbie Floyd.
Yeah, so you're starting to see the development. We're starting to catch more and more fish here as the day progresses. I've got straight up 11 o'clock here Eastern. Kevin Van Dam caught his 3rd fish. Now we're hearing, Swindle catching his, and this plays into Swindle's hands. He did not want to be the leader going into the final day. He said he hadn't been getting much sleep. He did not want that added pressure of being the leader. He knew all the pressure, all the boats like KVD has on top of him. He said he felt good being in the top 5. It put him within striking range, and obviously he is striking while the iron's hot right now. 2 fish in the past, 5 minutes, so he's definitely on. Let's go back to the loudmouth, guys. I'm sure it's crazy up where you're at.
Hey, Robbie, thanks a lot, man. Hey, he said it's in Swindle's hands, plays to his strengths. I'm going to go with Kevin Van Dam here. And you know why, Z? A lot fewer bites today, everybody, a lot fewer. And that has been Kevin Van Dam's strategy all along. Z, tell us about that.
You're exactly right, Jay. Right now, there's 2 strategies that are going on this river. Gerald Swindle is trying to get a bunch of bites, weed through a lot of non-keepers to get to a keeper. Kevin Van Dam has been outspoken about it. He is not trying to catch a lot of fish, just the quality bites. It is going to be a horse race for the rest of the afternoon. If you are near this town, get to that weigh-in. It's going to be a shootout.
Absolutely.
John and Byron, back to you.
Cool.
All right, let's take a look one more time at the updated leaderboard. Things changing very quickly, and this is unofficial, and check it out right now.
And exactly to speak to what the loudmouth guy said, Swindle and Aaron caught 37 and 25 fish apiece, respectively. Van Dam is not catching as many, but he's catching the good ones.
All right, don't forget, we'll be back here with another update in the next half hour. We'll also have a Bass Center for you at 12:30 Eastern right here on ESPN2. The weigh-ins at 5:30 on ESPN, and our live coverage continues on ESPN2.
This Bass Center in-game update is brought to you by Mercury Marine.
Live coverage from the 3 rivers. The 2005 Citgo Bassmaster coverage. You're looking at a live shot of Gary Klein. Final day action here at the Classic. Gary Klein currently in 15th place. Gary Klein working that shoreline now a little bit, also working over the bridge piers. We've got a great vantage point from which to view all this fishing. Truly a spectator sport in this day and age. And Gerald Swindle with the dramatic move to the top of the leaderboard. He's about, unofficially anyway, a half a pound ahead of Kevin Van Dam. That's about a fish, right, Mark Menendez?
That is a fish, and it's a tough deal to just be fishing for these smaller fish right now. But I tell you what, he's going to watch Gerald. Gerald caught a huge amount of fish yesterday. I think 35 or 37 fish yesterday. So he's got something figured out to get a lot of numbers to get to a keeper. So I think that's a big deal right now.
All right, Gerald Swindle, he makes no bones about it. He is going after it. He's going full bore after that Classic trophy today. For him, nothing but the first place would do as good. So that's what he's looking for right now. Gerald Swindle earlier today said as much to us, and he was pretty emphatic about it. All right, the live shot of the convention center right there.
That's us.
All right. What a shot. We got the best view in the house. I hate to brag about it, but man, oh man, Gary Klein out there on the water fishing. We got Kevin Van Dam. Now, Gerald Swindle with about a pound-and-a-half lead over Aaron Martens, who was the man in charge for so long during this final day. Ended yesterday in charge as well. So Aaron Martens has got to get something going with his technique.
Well, I tell you what, Tommy, everything is changing right now. The sun's getting higher, the shade is getting tighter. Those fish may be coming up a little bit higher, and you're seeing the 2 power guys, Gerald and Kevin, catching a few more fish, and that slowed Aaron down a little bit.
All right, what is the correlation between the high sun and the power fishermen? You say the shade is a big part of it. As we look at Gerald Swindle's profile, age 35, from Hayden, Alabama. Of course, he was the 2004 Citgo Angler of the Year, very popular figure in the sport. A lot of very loyal sponsors. He's a guy who can sell a lot of product as well.
Absolutely, and he's selling it to those fish that are reacting to the sun and getting very, very tight to the cover. He's a power fisherman. He doesn't like to slow down with that spinning rod. He wants that spinning rod moving, so he wants a moving bait. Probably a little crankbait, maybe a jerk bait, even a spinner bait could get those fish to bite, but he's fishing and moving fast. And that's the key. And here's a little bit of stuff early today that Gerald did, and he is trying to knock a home run, Tommy, and he's just about to get it.
All right, Gerald Swindle a little bit earlier today, really, as always, speaking what's on his mind.
My mindset on day 3 is pretty much wide open. I've got nothing to lose. I'm not going to let the fear of striking out keep me from swinging for a home run, dude. I'm on everything I've got. I don't look at it as in I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I made it this far. I'm not. I'm going to be very disappointed if I don't try my best to win, and that's what I don't want to do. I want to leave here with no regrets.
All right, so yeah, just a little bit down in the mouth here. Maybe that's the right attitude. Not happy to be here because he hadn't won the thing yet. He's going to beat himself up a little bit, being hard on himself. That's one way to motivate things, I guess.
It certainly is, but I like his attitude, Tommy. He says he has nothing to lose and everything to gain. So in that frame of mind, he's going to swing for the fence and go try to get the Classic trophy. He wants to take it back home to Alabama.
So much of the drama today, these guys working these fish, 12 inches is the limit. If it's not 12 inches, you cannot take it to the weigh-in tonight at Mellon Arena. And so much of the drama, so many fish out there that are just under 12 inches. A lot of heartbreak when we look at that bump board. And Jerry, why don't you show us just exactly how that important piece of equipment works?
Well, first of all, let me ask you, what does swinging for the fence mean? Is that about the same thing as I'm going to try to catch a big one?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay. All right. Well, look. Here is maybe the most important piece of equipment in your boat on this tournament, and that's the little bump board that these guys use to measure their fish. They have to be 12 inches long, and in order to measure them correctly, they'll take the nose and bump it right against the front end, and then back here is your 12-inch line. Now, you cannot take his tail and squeeze it and make it go over the 12-inch line. You can twist it, and all it has to do is touch that 12-inch line. But you had better be sure, because if you bring him in and hand him to an official, then it belongs to the official. And if it does not bump the 12-inch line, you will lose that fish and you lose a pound. You're penalized 1 pound. And today, to any one of these guys, that would be a disaster, Tommy. So I think, as I say, I think this little 12-inch board is a very important piece of equipment.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jerry. Now more than ever, you have to be very, very careful about the way that you bump those fish. Thank you for that. Let's take a look at our unofficial scoreboard. Remember, again, these scores are completely unofficial. This is guesstimation more than anything. We stand by the numbers of fish caught, but it's guesstimation on the scores. Gerald Swindle, our man in charge right now, got a good lead, half a pound. That's equal to a fish here on the Three Rivers over Kevin Van Dam. Things are changing, but Gerald Swindle, the man in charge right now. All right, we'll be back in Pittsburgh in just a few minutes. Things are changing. The fishing is ongoing and plenty more of it to come. Don't go away. ESPN's live coverage of the Citgo 2005 Bassmaster Classic, presented by Under Armour, is brought to you by Cialis, Purelator, and Triton Boats. We're back to you. Pittsburgh, PA, the site of the 2005 Classic, the #1, the top event, hands down, in the sport of bass fishing. The angler that wins this one will be the man who is on top of the world in the sport. It changes lives. It makes your career. Winning the Classic is everything to a professional bass angler. Hey, the Classic is everything to fishing fans in a lot of ways. They come from all over, especially to this, the ESPN Classic Outdoor Show, one of the most popular consumer outdoor shows in all the country. Beautiful stuff here. Big crowds, huge crowds in Pittsburgh. A lot of people in other parts of the country, Mark Menendez, don't know that Western Pennsylvania is big outdoors country. Hunting, fishing, camping, hiking, they are huge in this part of the world.
Absolutely. Hunting and fishing is a way of life here, Tommy. And everybody that I go to at sports shows or personal appearance events, they are always talking about, you guys need to come to Pennsylvania. And what a great setup here we have at the Three Rivers.
What can you say about a part of the world where they turn out school for the first day of deer season? That tells you how much the people are into the outdoors in this part of the world. They are proving it here at Pittsburgh. Big crowds at the Mellon Arena. This is, of course, the climax of the year, the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. There is an after season, though, for bass fishing. A new event which actually premiered last year is the Bush Shootout, and that's kind of a neat format. The biggest sack caught on each day of fishing gets to go to a special tournament for the top guys from each of the tournaments. And there's one space left, and that is the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Some pretty neat stuff from the Bush Shootout. It is, of course, a $200,000 incentive program, the Bush Shootout. During the qualifying portion of this deal, a $1,000 cash prize awarded to the pros for the heaviest catch each day on Tour and in Elite 50 events. The top 10 single-day heavyweights from the Tour and from the Elite 50s go to the Bush Shootout tournament, along with the 3 anglers with the heaviest single-day catch at the Open Championship, the Federation Championship, and the one spot that is left is this one, the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Who's the man right now who is in, the last guy into the Bush Shootout?
Jimmy Mize, our day 1 leader, caught 5 fish that weighed 6 pounds and 2 ounces. So here's the field right here. And this, I'm amazed, Tommy. 6'2", you'd attempt to make it to the Bush Shootout. But here on Tough Fishery, that's what you've got.
All right. You made a mention a few minutes ago that the crankbaits, the reaction baits, maybe with the conditions as they are changing right now, certainly as we look at the Bass Track, the unofficial scores, the crankbaits and jerkbaits may be coming more into prominence. Let's take a look at the crankbaits, and we got a good representation of one for you here, right here. Take a look and talk us through it, Mark Menendez.
You know, a crankbait is a reaction bait. You cover water fast around it. Depending upon the style of lip around that crankbait, depends on how it bounces around the cover. To get a strike on a crankbait, you always want it deflecting, bouncing off of something. Got a long lip on the bait, it bounces, and as it hits the bait on a piece of structure, it bounces around, and that's when you get your bite, Tommy. It's called a deflection and an aggressive bite.
All right. Well, Jerry McKenna standing by with some more good stuff on the crankbait. Jerry, tell us what it's all about.
More crankbait.
Yes, sir.
More bills of the crankbait. This bill is so important, just like you guys were talking about here. I've got a little Strike King, Lucky Strike CB crankbait. I've got a Berkeley Frenzy right here. Look at the bills. I hope that anybody that would pick up a crankbait would look at the bill. This guy's got a big long bill. This guy's got a little short squatty bill. This guy's probably going to go, maybe 6 to 8, maybe 9 to 10 feet. This guy's going 3 and 4 foot deep. This is the depth of choice right now. We keep saying that Kevin Van Dam and several of our anglers, Davey Hite as well, is using a shallow running crankbait. That just automatically tells me that the bill is very sharp and will not allow the bait to go much deeper than 3 or 4 feet. So that bill is incredibly important, guys.
All right, Jerry, thank you so much. George Cochran. Hey, we got George Cochran is a guy who's using the crankbait and through the years has used it to great advantage. George Cochran, 55 years old, from Hot Springs, Arkansas. One of the big money winners. He's got a lot of money, momentum coming into this tournament right here.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, George, I said, again, a slow fisherman. He's being thorough with that crankbait, probably making multiple casts, Tommy, at one target. He's known to do that and not move that boat around at a lot of time. He just slid up into 3rd place, Tommy.
Man, that is huge.
Slow and steady, George. He's going to be there at the end.
All right, he's 1.5 pounds at this point, unofficially behind our leader, Gerald Swindle. And we say watch out for George Cochran for a number of reasons. We keep hitting on this. George Cochran holds the record for winning the Classic with the lowest 3-day weight. That is significant. He did it on the Ohio River. That's significant thing number 2, and he's won 2 Classics before. Here's a guy who knows how to win a Classic. 3 reasons to watch out for George Cochran.
Exactly.
All right, George Cochran, those 2 Classic wins he had earlier in his career are significant. They have helped make him the popular angler that he is today. Let's have a look at George Cochran at the Classic.
That was 1987 in Louisville. Found one stretch of bank there, Tommy, that was just within sight of the launch ramp. And look at him holding the trophy up, catching 15 pounds and 5 ounces to win the event.
All right, here's his 2nd title in 1996. Wife Debbie there. Big support system for him, George Cochran. They say he He keeps up his bass fishing, his pro career, so he can feed his duck hunting habit. He is a huge duck hunter, but man, oh man, when it comes to fishing, he is one of the tops in the world. George Cochran, the 87 and the 96 title, 15 pounds, 5 ounces. That's one of the records that everybody's got kind of on the back of their mind today. Will that be not bettered, but lowered today as we finish up this one in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
Maybe he wants to keep that title as having the lowest weight in a Classic.
You don't think that's why he's doing so well here? You don't think that could possibly be a motivating factor, do you?
I think he wants the trifecta to have 3 Classic trophies on his mantle at home, more so than a record.
Our Classic coverage continuing from here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What a great sports town. And a power fisherman, Kevin Van Dam, is the man who is in second place right now. George Cochran on his tail. Robbie's with KVD. Let's go out to Robbie Floyd.
Yeah, I've been following Kevin, and he's typical Kevin mode right now. He's running and gunning. He's been flying. He's actually just to my left, working a steep vertical wall like you would see the barges tie up to. So he's gone away for the bridge piling for a moment, but he's still working those concrete steep drifts. Can you see the gap in between this one, pier or piling and the wall there? He's been working that area. But one thing you're talking about, George, he just doesn't catch them when it's a hard bite. I mean, don't you remember like Lake Guntersville 2 years ago, almost 100 pounds of bass for his 4-day catch? He knows how to catch them big or small. So I'm telling you, George, the slow, methodical, he might win this race after all. Isn't this a tortoise and the hare kind of thing?
Well, it is. A lot of the guys crack on George Cochran, too. He says, our bass rack guys for the Bass Tour say, oh, he's got no good tackle in his boat. He's so laid back. How does he ever catch a fish? But I tell you what, slow, methodical, like Robbie says, can be a guy who wins races sometimes.
Absolutely, and George has been there, knows how to do it. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be between these top 3 guys right now. They're slow and steady. You've got Swindle fishing by the seat of his pants, and Kevin just marching right on up the river, power fishing all the way.
All right, we're going to cover it all for you. We've got it all the way for you. Right now, let's take one more look at our unofficial scoreboard. The weights in the boats are not official. This is guesstimation at its best. Again, the weights are not official till we get to the weigh-in as we watch the fishing out there on the water right now. Kevin Van Dam is the man in second place with 11 pounds and 2 ounces. Gerald Swindle, 2004 Citgo Angler of the Year, is your leader. A half a fish lead, 8 ounces unofficially over Kevin Van Dam. Can Swindle hang on? Win his first tournament ever with the Bassmasters, it would be the big one. Classic coverage continues when we return. Don't go away. 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Our live coverage continues from here in Pittsburgh, PA. There it is, Heinz Field. That's the fairly new home for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers who open their training session today, so it's a significant day in pro sports here in the confines of Pittsburgh. What a great sports town it is, and how this town was lit up last year, the 2004 season, by one Big Ben. Ben Roethlisberger had what a rookie quarterback performance. 16-2, led his team to the AFC Championship. And our man Mark Menendez is the luckiest guy in town here. He gets to go fishing with Ben Roethlisberger. It turned out to be something different than you might expect. Take a look at this.
Are you a Cincinnati fan? Oh, you're a Pittsburgh fan.
2nd and 12 for Pittsburgh.
What do you think of Bradshaw? This guy could throw a better football, can't he?
Roethlisberger, play fake, he will throw. Now just he's one downfield. Randall Ellis down there. He got past the defense.
Bassmaster coming to you.
Well, I started fishing tournaments, Ben, when I was 10. When did you start playing competitive sports?
I started playing in the 5th grade.
5th grade, so that's 11, 12.
Yeah, so I was, that's when I first started playing tackle football.
Tackle football. Were you bigger than the rest of the kids? Or?
No, I was small. I was kind of tall and skinny.
Tall and skinny.
I always have been my whole life. I just finally filled out here once I got here, and I realized I had to for my livelihood.
I don't know what it is, but it's large. We got a dog in the boat, now we've got a big cat. We're gonna have the ultimate accuracy test. You ever see one of these? Look familiar?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, all right.
I want to know, are you gonna catch it, or is Barkley gonna catch it?
Well, Barkley may try to catch it, because he does love to play ball, but make me the target.
All right, I got you.
That like a bullet. All right, now it's rain situation. It's a rain day now. Good slippery.
Yeah, cornerback coming. That was the way. Here comes Ray Lewis. Oh, it's just high. He lost his hat. Oh! Threw his hands. What happened?
All right, it's 4th and goal.
4th and goal. I had 2 bad passes and my receiver dropped one, so we got to make this one happen.
I tipped that one.
It's slippery. It's hard. You're sitting so low. I'll get you this time.
All right.
Show it to me. Flash it. This is going to be tough, I'm telling you.
Yes! We got it! We scored!
Touchdown!
We scored! We got it!
Sounds good.
Man, it's been a lot of fun, dude.
A lot of fun. Had a
Thanks for
blast.
your time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being a great host and a great ambassador to the city and sports.
We had fun.
And we'll see you on the river next time.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, there's his home right there, Heinz Field. That's where the Pittsburgh Steelers will start the regular season. Before you know it, man, Coach Cower gave you that look when you missed that second pass, Mark Menendez.
You didn't see me miss it again, though. But, Tommy, that's the first touchdown I've ever scored. What a bunch of fun that was. Ben's a great guy, great athlete, and so enthusiastic about being a role model. We talked about that a lot, and Ben says, you know, I'm in a position to make a difference to a lot of kids, and he thinks that's very serious, and those, if he can make a difference to one child, he says, it makes his job that much easier.
Boy, I totally agree with you. What a nice guy, very nice to come up and visit with us at the set today. He's the Super Bowl of bass fishing. He's nice enough to maybe on the way to his Super Bowl, which is not far away. That's my prediction. He comes up and visits us and spends his time looking at this sport.
Absolutely.
All right, what a great guy. Let's take a look at our updated scoreboard, unofficially out on the water. We'll take a look at it right now. Your leader at this point is Gerald Swindle, still hanging on to that lead. He's got that 8-ounce lead over Kevin Van Dam. George Cochran having moved into 3rd place. All the news gathering apparatus in place. Bass Center's got much more for you right now.
The clock is ticking. Only 3.5 hours of fishing remains. It's the final day of the 35th Bassmaster Classic. It's the Super Bowl of bass fishing, and it's right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the city of champions. Hello again. I'm John Kernan along with Byron Velvick, and I'm telling you what, it is so close out there on the water today. These guys just keep hopping over each other and everything.
Every keeper counts. That's all this is. Keeper after keeper counts, and when you catch one keeper, you move up. Right now, we're watching the guys move up as they catch Swindle, Van Dam, Cochran. The leaderboard is shifting all over the place, Sean. It's going to be a weigh-in to remember. Don't miss it.
It's on the ESPN at 5:30 to weigh in, find out who wins the championship. Of course, Davey Hite made a big move early in the day. For an update on him, let's go out to Robbie Floyd.
He's jumped even further. He started in 4th place. Right now, he's currently in 5th spot. He caught his 4th bass just a moment ago. The top 10 anglers are in the Monongahela. Kevin Van Dam just over my shoulder. He just caught a little dink, about a 7 or 8 inch fish. So he's finding them right now. He's got fish in the well, but he's looking for those big ones because he sees the guys like Cochran, Hite starting to close in really, really fast. But he's definitely catching fish on the bridge pilings right now. Let's go to the loudmouth gas guys. Is it getting crazy up there yet, guys?
It's always crazy here, Robbie.
Get it on,
we
Robbie.
love it, man.
Thanks, man.
All right, see, here's the latest observation. It looks like the bites are coming later in the day today. Obviously, not much going on in the morning. All right, what we have here is Aaron Martens has had a late bite every day, okay? Kevin Van Dam, Gerald Swindle, they have had late bites.
Now, one person that has had early bites is Mike Iaconelli. He was in 2nd place going into this morning, and he guaranteed victory last night after day 2.
Whoa, really?
He's in a little bit of trouble. He has 0 in the live well right now, Jay.
All right, well, here's where we're at. Everybody's got to stick with it mentally right now. This is the toughest event, the toughest last few hours or minutes. And here's a fact for you, man. The last 2 classics have been won in the last 45 minutes or less. It's going to come down to that right here.
Guaranteed. Back to you, John and Byron.
All right, thank you, Mark and Jay. And I'm telling you what, that's I don't know if we can wait that long.
Hey,
man.
I got another fact, and Aaron's not holding up to it, but in all the classics combined, if you were in the lead going into the last day, you had a 62% chance of winning. So, Aaron, you better follow the rules. You better win this thing. Catch some fish.
Playing the percentages.
He's got to.
Well, don't forget, we'll be back in a half hour with another update. We'll also be here at 12:30 with the new Bass Center, and our live coverage of the 35th Bassmaster Classic continues on ESPN2.
This Bass Center in-game update is brought to you by Triton Boats.
Live shot from the Lawrence Convention Center here in Pittsburgh, PA, and our live coverage of the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic continues. Tommy Sanders and Mark Menendez, and we heard the Bass Center guys talking about Ike and his slide down after predicting perhaps a win, perhaps that he was going to carry home the big trophy this time. That's nothing new for Ike. He's good on making predictions because he is a man of supreme confidence. Mike Iaconelli, but he's having a slide today.
He is making a little backslide, Tommy. It's been tough on him. He's caught 2, but they were non-keepers, and that's been the big story here. How many fish they're catching, but they're non-keepers. He's fishing hard. He had a late bite yesterday afternoon, caught a couple keepers with just minutes left to go in his time fishing before he had to check in. So I don't look for Mike to be out of it just out of it just yet.
All right, just a few hours fishing left for Mike Iaconelli. Let's take a look at what has transpired so far for the 2003 Classic winner. This is his whole day starting first thing.
Number 1, 725, first fish on the board, baby.
Well, that one would not pan out. That was not going to be a keeper. He thought it was good. Started in second place today, right behind Aaron Martens, with every hope in the world of taking home the big iron today.
This is the second fish he caught this morning, out from under a big barge. He's not dancing just yet, but he's going to have to check him to make sure he's long enough, Tommy. That's going to be a big, big factor. Catch him on a crankbait. Mike's moving around, power fishing. We've said this time and time again. Not quite large enough, Tommy.
All right, there's another one that's under that 12-fish limit. Later on in the day, a
swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. He's not dancing to that tune right now very well.
How much more likely is that to happen to a guy on Classic Day?
Well, you really start feeling all those little things bumping your bait against the bottom, and you start swinging because you're just hoping at the end when you haven't had a lot of action. As soon as you've got a lot of action, you're ready to go.
I brought a little tiny box that I call panic box. Got a lot of little bait for the trap fish and hand fish, and I got those prepared. Usually when one else fails, if you get that panic box out.
All right, Mike Iaconelli with somewhere over 3 hours of fishing left. I want you to do a little handicapping right now, Mark Menendez. What are the odds of him turning this thing around, put some keepers in the boat, getting his way back up to the top of the leaderboard?
Well, I think the odds are very good, Tommy. He's one of those guys that's not going to quit. Never give up is his motto. He's in this panic box, he said. So he's going to get deep into that box, and he won't panic, Tommy. He'll fish it through the final cast.
All right. Well, all right. He's looking for a big bass. Big bass, of course, what the guys are looking for. And it's all a relative game, of course. The Purolator Big Bass is an award that goes to the angler with the big bass for each day of fishing out on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour and also in the E50s and also here in the Classic. It's a very sought-after award because it involves a little bit of the do-re-mi. Purolator Big Bass Prize rewarded to the angler who catches the biggest single fish during each day of the bass event. Professional anglers, $1,000. Amateurs, $500. Purolator funds the daily Big Bass Awards for all competitive divisions at all bass tournaments. And awards an additional payout of $1,000 to the angler, professional or amateur, who catches the biggest bass of each tournament. There's our Purolator Big Bass, day by day, KVD. All right, yeah, with the tie with Stacy King on day 1, and then Jeff Reynolds on day 2.
A pound 15 ounces, got himself a classic record to date. You know, today may be a smaller big bass, the smallest, biggest bass ever caught in a Classic right now for the Big Bass Daily leader.
Big bass of a pound and 15 ounces. That's what you call tight competition. That's good, tight stuff. That's what's going to make it a more exciting weigh-in, I predict, tonight at Mellon Arena.
I'm certain that it will, Tommy. I'm noticing something different here right now. We're out here on the top of the convention center, and a haze is setting in over the river, and that may change some of the fishing here. You know, we've had the sun up high and bright. The fish are up tighter. This may loosen them up so we get some afternoon catches.
All right. Well, the haze, it looks like we're in a cloud, as a matter of fact, right now. We'll see if that has any effect on the fish catching, which has been slower on this day 3 than it has in the first 2 previous days of the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Boy, what an event it is, the Classic Outdoor Show. Everyone here to pick up some tips, to see the latest products, but more than anything else, to see the man crowned as the #1 bass fisherman in the world. That's coming up later today. Stick with us. All right, a quick update from out on the water. Aaron Martens started the day with the lead in this 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic Championship Day. This was at 10:05 this morning. A heartbreaker right there. He knows how important each and every fish is.
Another 13 answer. You can't use that cup and jump and let down.
All right, currently in 4th place, Aaron Martens has come down that leaderboard.
When they had to let me see him, too. Right up, Ray.
All right. That's Aaron Martens on the river earlier today. Take a look at that. That is the point, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the Allegheny and the Monongahela come together. It's a Pennsylvania thing in some ways at this Classic. We've had 2 competitors in the Classic. A home state guy has never won the Classic in history before. Looks like it's not likely to happen here today unless our man Dave Wallach makes a huge run.
But our home state angler did win the Federation National Championship. So Pennsylvania anglers are fantastic anglers.
All right, Ed Cowan was that man who won the Federation Championship, and Ed Cowan is a guy who, for the last 11 years, had a little bit more on his mind than just simply fishing. Let's take a look at our Federation champion right now.
Meet Ed Cowan. During the week, he's a working dad. On the weekends, he's one heck of a fisherman.
There we go. High five, dude.
My real goal as a fisherman was to win the Federation Championship and win that Brian Kerschel Memorial Trophy. Me and Brian were good friends.
Like Ed, Brian Kerschel was a Federation angler, working during the week and fishing on his days off. But Brian Kerschel was no simple weekend fisherman. In 1993, he won the Federation Championship. In 1994, he did it again. That same year, Brian did what no one thought a Federation angler could do. He won the Bassmaster Classic.
Folks, this is a dream of every Federation fisherman. All 40,000 of you need to be saluted.
He's the hero of all the guys in the Federation. It's the, 50,000 members. That's the guy. He proved that, we're good enough to win the World Championship.
Tragically, their hero would not be with them long. Just months after claiming bass fishing's ultimate prize, a plane crash ended Brian's life and his bright future. 11 years may have passed since that day, but Brian Kerschel was never far from Ed Cowan's mind. He named his youngest son after his friend, and at this year's Federation Championship, Ed wanted the world to know.
This one's for Brian. That was the 3rd time I went to it since Brian passed, and the first time I was in a position I could win.
And win he did, in dramatic fashion, raising the Brian Kerschel Memorial Trophy after he dominated the competition. Now Ed's got his sights set on the Classic, looking to be the first Federation angler to win since his good friend.
You don't get that many opportunities to win, and when you can see you got a good shot, I grab on pretty tight.
With us right here on our set is Ed Cowan, a local, you was a local favorite. Gosh darn, it just didn't happen, did it?
Yeah, it never seems like the local favorites come through in these things.
Well, they were talking about that, how a local angler has never won a Classic, local being from that state. And coming in, I was saying, my gosh, this guy, there's something special about him. He could pull this off.
Yeah, well, I think everybody that's ever qualified for this tournament was capable of winning it.
You're right about that. So I do want to spend a minute or so here on your dedication, though, to Brian Kerschel.
Oh, he's our hero in the Federation, and, it's American story. Dreams really can come true. You can really just fish your club tournaments and work a regular job and get here. I mean, look at me. I've been here twice, and you can win. You really can.
And we were talking to Ray Scott about that earlier. Anybody could win this, especially a Federation champion. Actually, it's pretty darn hard to be a Federation champion.
Yeah, it's hard. It takes a long time, but a lot of guys, you see them go run out and fish the pro tournaments before they're ready. And if you're really that good an angler, you'll get to the Classic through the Federation.
Do you have any aspirations of doing anything but fishing Federations?
No, I have no aspirations of doing anything. I enjoy fishing the club tournaments, taking my kids fishing, being home during the week with my family and all.
You know, it's a hard road. It's a real hard job. I fished a little bit of those pro tournaments after the last time I won in '91, and you know, I could see right away it's not all glamour. It's a job. It's really hard work.
It is a job. Yeah. Who's your favorite? Come on.
My favorite? I'd like to see George Cochran.
No, I don't want you to say who you'd like to see. Tell me who's going to win.
I think George Cochran's going to catch a big largemouth. He's the only one out there still fishing for largemouth, and he gets that big one, he'll win.
Okay, I tell you what, the Federation folks have sent me some really neat stuff, and the neatest of it is a replica of Brian's whistle. And if you don't know, he blew this every time that he caught a fish. And this is out there for sale, raising money for the Federation, I guess. So, Tommy, here you go. I know Aaron Martens and Kevin Van Dam and Swindle would love to hear this sound coming from their boat.
All right, we like the sound of that. We like the sound of the scoreboard if you're George Cochran. George Cochran has now moved into second place. All right, he's moved up right behind Gerald Swindle there. Gerald can hear footsteps behind him. We got so much more fishing yet to come here in this 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. There's so much coverage on the way. Please do not leave us now. Come right back.
There's no way to know.
Live inside the Lawrence Convention Center, Pittsburgh, PA, 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic, the #1 event. Hands down in the sport of bass fishing. At the end of the day today, someone will wear the crown as the world champion bass fisherman. Boy, you can find it all inside the convention center. We have so much to see, and a lot of people are seeing a lot of this guy, Gerald Swindle. Is in a lot of photographs inside that convention center and in the outdoor show. Let's take a look at some recent footage from Gerald right from down on the water. He's making a huge move today. He's currently in the lead.
This was at 12:40 this afternoon. He's got one there. This puts his third fish in the live well, and this put him on top of the leaderboard. There we go. Another good keeper. Just barely clipped the gunnel of the boat there. That is a good way to make a mistake this late in the game.
All right, 4 pounds for Gerald Swindle right now. Back on top, you can see our position there at the Lawrence Convention Center. We're going to take you out to Robbie Floyd on the water, who's been keeping up with Gerald Swindle. What's going on with him now, Robbie?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say I'm sorry for the poofadoodle I got going. I've been running so many miles today. Gerald Swindle, I talked to him yesterday, and he told me I haven't been getting much sleep at all with all the fishing, the pre-fishing, the sponsor obligations at the convention center, all the things that he has to do. He's been having a short window of sleep, a lot of deprivation. But he said when he was the other night, just 2 nights ago, he said, man, I was cranking. I said, were you dreaming about catching fish? He said, oh, you know I was. I was whacking them. I was nailing them left and right, and all of a sudden I woke up. And I kept telling myself, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. You're nailing them out there, but he didn't. He woke up out of that sleep, and he went on yesterday to, have a pretty nice showing. So it's obviously paying off for him in his sleep and in real life. But you know what these guys have to go through with all this obligation that they have with it. Him being the 2004 Citgo Bassmaster Tour champion. I mean, Angler of the Year. It's not just a tournament. I mean, there are so many other responsibilities that they have to do and have to play a part of it. If we have a first-time winner here, he's going to get to experience that next year.
Boy, absolutely right. Thank you, Robbie, for that. As Mark Menendez and Shaw Grigsby well know, Gerald Swindle is a man who likes to move. He's an impatient sort of guy. I don't know if dreams mean anything, but let's take a look at the map of what's been his reality today. This is Gerald Swindle's meanderings on the 3 rivers.
Started in the Mon, being very consistent, Tommy. Caught a fish right there. Consistency is the key. Gerald hasn't had a big catch yet, but he is being very, very consistent, staying in that zone where most of the catching is going on.
All right, that's where we find Gerald Swindle right now. Let's talk to Shaw Grigsby right now. Thanks for coming back, sitting in with us again, Shaw. I know you can riff for a little bit on the difference between power fishing and finesse fishing, which is the story in the top 5 of this tournament at this point.
Absolutely, and you actually have a combination of it here. As Mark knows, power fishing is that typical crankbait, jig, spinnerbait, just going down the bank, and we're seeing a lot of that out of Kevin Van Dam, just down the bank, just power buzz baits. You see it all, but they're kind of putting a little twist on it. Aaron's the finesse guy, drop shot and shaking the little worm, but these guys are taking those power baits, downsizing them, putting them on super light line. They're basically doing a little of combo fishing there, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you know, the thing is in power fishing, you're trying to make that fish do something he really doesn't want to do. And when you can overpower that fish and make him do that, then that angler's probably going to be in charge. So that's the really big thing here, making them do what they really don't want to do.
Yeah, just getting them to strike, react. A lot of jerk baits, you know, spinner baits, all that kind of stuff.
All right, let's take a look at this. We're going to take you underwater and take a look at a drop shot rig in action. Take a look at finesse fishing versus power fishing. Maybe it'll help us all understand a little bit more about how this works, the drop shot rig.
And this is what Aaron's using. It's a drop shot. It's got a weight in the bottom, a little bit maybe you know, 6 to 10, 15-inch leader, depending on what the situation is. He's dropping it down, and he's letting that worm sit there. He's shaking them, making them come in there, and just they kind of look at it and go, man, this looks good. It's something that you can leave in there and just aggravate them to death till they finally eat it.
Keeping it in that strike zone, it's almost like deep flipping, isn't it, Sean?
It is.
With light line.
And it just stays in there until they finally just say, I got to have it. And it looks alive. I mean, it just looks alive.
All right, let's contrast it to power fishing.
Power fishing, the jerk bait, moving, covering, flashing, very erratic, and that's something that smallmouth hate, isn't it, Sean?
Oh, anytime you get that flash, and it's so erratic. I mean, it's going this way and that way. It's kind of like a dog, you know. You sit there and you got a dog that's not Barkley now, because he's a nice dog, but a mean dog, and he's growling at you, you know. If you turn your back on him, he bites you, right? Same thing here. This thing's darting, trying to get out of their way, and they just can't handle it. It is a reaction strike that they can't refuse.
All right, one bait they're trying to eat, the other one they are just reacting to. With the conditions as you guys see it right now out there on the Three Rivers, which is the one that's most likely to get the bites and the keepers at this point?
Ooh, you know.
That's a tough call, Tommy. You put us on the spot.
Well, you both noticed during the break that the current is going away.
That's right, Mark, really, you picked up on that you think that the reason the catches have kind of dropped a little bit today is that we probably don't have the current. We're looking at the river right behind us. We're not seeing current flows. We're not seeing the eddies. It may have slowed down and exactly affected those fish.
Well, that current flow, not having it, Shaw, as you well know, gives those fish an area to spread out in. So the strike zone changes, Tommy. The fish are not exactly where you expect them to be. They're out off to the side, maybe a little deeper, a little shallower. They're not where you can go and pick that cover apart.
Remember this too, with current flow, they got this current making bait come by its current, and they don't like sitting out in the current and just, you know, taking full force. So they sit in those little eddies. So a bait comes by, it's a reaction strike. They go, they run out there and grab it. They don't have hands. They got to put it in their mouth to see what it is. Bam, they grab it, right? So without current flow, they have time to come out there and look at it and go, no, I don't think I would really want to get that.
All right, thanks. That's a good way to explain it, guys. Thank you very much. Robbie Floyd out there on the water has a new little twist to throw at us right now, right, Robbie?
Well, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's the drop shot, but how about the exact lure that, you know, one of our anglers, one of our top anglers, our leader, is going to use. Aaron Martens, you see this little guy? He said that's the one he's going to go to when things get a little more difficult. He said he's going to start off with one that looks a little bit lighter, more white, more like a bass, but I guess this one's one he's trying to imitate, looking like a little shad. We're seeing a lot of ghost minnows. This actually looks pretty much like that ghost minnow, but where Aaron had been fishing, where I've been seeing around those bridge pilings where we saw Kevin Van Dam earlier, a lot of ghost minnows. I'm hearing other guys saying they saw stuff that looked like full-on herring. Greg Hackney yesterday in the Ohio said he saw some, you know, 6, 7-inch herring-looking little bait fish and also big shad popping up. But I'm assuming he's probably going after that ghost minnow type look in the schooling fish, if he can or not. I don't know, but this is the exact model. I believe it's a robo worm that Aaron Martin's planning on using if it gets difficult. He's in 4th place right now, and if he's looking for difficult fishing, he definitely has his work cut out for him right now.
All right, Aaron Martens does have some work to do, so maybe that is the thing that is coming up next for Aaron. Thank you very much, Robbie Floyd. Let's take a look at our full scoreboard right now. Our weights are unofficial, but what's striking, what's standing out for you guys?
I tell you what, Gerald Swindle fishing by the seat of his pants. He's fishing for his first Classic. He's got 3 keepers in the boat right now, and he's on his way.
Absolutely, and that would be his first win also. Davey Hite making a heck of a charge, and he's on a roll. I mean, we talked about that, you know, how that momentum means so much. Scott Rook is still there. He's looking for his Classic win.
David Walker, a surprise to me today, had a limit yesterday, the biggest catch yesterday, only has 1 fish today, Shaw, so he's struggling a little bit.
And look at Klein. He's caught 7 fish so far today and hasn't got a keeper yet. He's caught the most fish of this whole tournament and hasn't got a keeper.
All right, we only have 25 on this final day. The last page is a short one.
Marty Stone could make a charge, but he's kind of out of it. Biffle's killing him.
All right. So much more fishing, so little time yet to come for some of these guys. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of it from the Classic when we return.
15.
It's going to be a great Classic. It's going to be a great finish.
That's a keeper, I believe.
I think it's one of the most exciting weigh-ins ever.
One fish, on your last cast could be the difference in winning or losing.
Every ounce is going to be critical.
It's not going to be a blowout. It's going to be tight.
1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce may make the difference in somebody's career.
That's right.
Live coverage of Citgo Bassmaster Classic. You're taking a look at Mellon Arena here in Pittsburgh right there. Ordinarily the home of the Penguins. Tonight, the home of the weigh-in. The competition has been wild today, and it concludes tonight. ESPN2's coverage concludes on ESPN with the final weigh-in show from the arena at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You do not want to miss this. One reason in particular, all the weights we're giving you here right now are unofficial, all subject to change. Anything can be reshuffled at the last minute there at the weigh-in. We're doing the best we can, and we're doing, I think, a pretty good job of getting you out there on the water. But man, oh man, we can't wait for 5:30 Eastern Time. That's when we make everything official. One person becomes the man who stands atop the world in the sport of bass fishing. Shaw Grigsby will be there at the weigh-in tonight.
Absolutely.
What are you looking forward to the most?
It's going to be nuts. It's going to be mayhem. It's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of people there, always. But what's really awesome, and we've seen this every day, the catches have been really strong at the beginning, and right at the end they slowed down. But those last key minutes of the day, those fish have made huge, huge jumps. That's who's going to determine the Classic champion.
What are you looking forward to, Mark?
I'm looking for one more big fish catch, one bigger than 12 inches.
All right, we'll show it to you when it happens. Right now, let's throw it to Bass Center.
We are live in Pittsburgh at Point State Park for the final round of the Super Bowl of bass fishing. The 35th Bassmaster Classic. I am so excited right now. I'm getting flustered and I can't even speak. I'm John Kernan along with Byron Velvick, and I'm telling you what, it's counting down. The clock is ticking and it's turned into a real dogfight.
A few hours left and somebody is going to be the champion of the Bassmaster Classic, and this is huge. Huge day for all of us.
All right, let's look at the unofficial leaderboard right now. Gerald Swindle still hanging in there unofficially at number 1. George Cochran. How about
my God.
that?
He has made a major move. It is right now. It's so close, John. It's hard to call it. It's just keeper after keeper will move you up in this tournament.
And you look at Cochran. Remember, we're looking at the setting a new low weight record for the winner. Well, he holds that record, 15 pounds, 5 ounces. Let's go out on the river for an update. Here's Kim Payne.
George Cochran, man, he is the man going on right now. Not only is he one of the gentlemen of the sport, but he is definitely a veteran. Now, I tell you what, when the fishing is toughest at the Classic, he does the best. Securing a win on the Ohio River out of Louisville, Kentucky in 1987, another win in 1996 on Lay Lake. You know, he has the record for the lowest overall weight to win a Classic, which was 15 pounds and 5 ounces. So, you know, when the fishing's tough, George will excel, and we're certainly seeing that today. Over to the loudmouth guys.
Hey, Kim, thanks a lot. Z.
Yes.
If I'm watching this at home, I got to be asking, these are the best guys, some of the best guys in the world. They're not catching any fish. What's going on? And wait a second. Here's what I'm thinking. You back me up or not. Day 3, it's always tough in any tournament. Weather hasn't been conducive. They haven't changed, okay? And it hasn't changed. And number 3, schooling fish. Tell them a little bit about that. Schooling fish.
I'm going to get a lot more simple than that right now. I am going to get a lot more simple than that.
What do you got?
This right now is shaping up to be the toughest Bassmaster Classic ever.
Whoa,
We just heard Shaw and Mark Menendez talking about current and stuff like that. A lot of these guys are simply out of fish. They have tapped their areas.
Yeah.
There's no more there. Jay, I guarantee that is going on right now.
That's going on right now, but once again, we're talking about an afternoon bite for some people, especially Aaron Martens. Again, the last 2 Classics, 45 minutes or less, it has been one in. I can't wait to see. I think this is going to be the most last-minute win ever.
Back to you, John and Byron.
All right, man, I just can't wait. And don't forget Bass Center. Byron and I, the whole gang will be back here at 12:30 Eastern. Highlights from this morning, all the information you can't get anywhere else right here on ESPN2. That's coming up in less than half an hour.
See you then.
Yes.
This Bass Center in-game update is brought to you by Purolator.
All right, take a look at the scoreboard on the final day of the Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Things are moving yet again. Gerald Swindle had held down the lead for the past couple of hours, but now it's KVD has bumped him back. He's got 4 keepers in the boat right now. Robbie Floyd, what can you tell us about this new resurgent from Van Dam?
I think Kevin Van Dam still fishing Monongahela the same throughout the week. He's staying on the lower end. He's not locking up. Hitting maybe he had a little bit more also with the jerk bait, but obviously Kevin make that long run.
All right, we're having a little technical difficulty hearing Robbie right now. We'll get that information to you in just a moment or two, but this is big. I mean, it's back big, and forth. Tommy. This is what we want. This is what we hope for all year.
This is what we came to see. Seesaw battle. Who's going to come on top? Power fisherman versus finesse fisherman. Kevin's throwing the jerk bait. That's going to be the deal. This is the wild shiner.
All right, now it's the power fisherman in charge right now. Let's take a look at Kevin Van Dam. All right, we're going to take a break. Kevin Van Dam, when we come back, we'll take a look at him on the water and what's going on, how he's managing to hold on to that lead for now. All right, this is 2001 Kevin Van Dam and his classic victory #1.
Van Dam is goal-oriented. It aided him when he had won the Classic.
It got to the point where I was getting pretty down about the Classics. You know, I mean, it's a tournament that I wanted to win so badly.
Everybody sensed that if Van Dam was going to do this, it was going to be now.
Now I really got a chance to do this. My confidence was, you know, right at an all-time high.
10-13.
Kevin Van Dam is your Classic champion. He did it.
That moment was definitely something that I can remember like it was yesterday, and I'm sure it'll be the same 30 years from now. I'll remember that moment.
Watching live coverage of the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. If you're going to the weigh-in by kayak, it obviously takes a long time. That's why these folks are starting early. Our storyline so far, man, we got some good ones working right now. Kevin Van Dam now back in the lead. Aaron Martens, our leader at the start of the day, drops down into 4th place. Davey Hite, George Cochran, both having strong day 3s here. Both of them moving into the top 5, and no fish for Mike Iaconelli. All right, 10 anglers without a keeper today. That is huge as well. Boy, it's tough conditions, but tough is what makes for a great contest. It's a difference of opinion and a difference in fishing results that make for a horse race, and we got one going on right now. All right, we're going down to the floor of the Lawrence Convention Center here in Pittsburgh. Jerry McInnes is watching all this, taking it all in, and I would assume enjoying it, Jerry.
Yes, I certainly am. And a little FYI for you guys. We talked about Kevin catching a lot of his fish on a wild shiner, and I know he is throwing a wild shiner, but he may be catching most of those fish on a rogue. At any rate, he's throwing a jerkbait and doing really well. You know what? I've been introducing different anglers and, you know, just trying to pick one out and asking them how one of these fans think he would fare. Gentlemen, come on. How the fan would fare if he was in the Bassmaster Classic. How do you think you would do?
Well, in this venue, whether it's, you know, it's kind of a small bite, I think I might have a chance, you know, if I get everything working out there today, Jerry.
If I take my thumb away from this man's shirt right here, you're going to see the name Bobby Murray. Bobby Murray won the first Classic ever. Bobby, we're having some fun with you, man.
Hey, I tell you what, isn't this an awesome deal? Everybody's excited here, and we really got a horse race going on the final day.
But I want to talk about you for just a little bit. You won the first Classic ever. That will be yours forever and ever. But the thing that folks don't realize, you won another one. That first one wasn't a shot in the dark.
Well, that first one, like you said, is in Las Vegas in 1971. But then I won a second one on Ross Barnett in Jackson, Mississippi in '78. And, you know, it really made my career. And so, you know, I can't help from come back and really watch this happen and see a new Bassmaster Classic champion crowned here. Can truly change people's life. It certainly changed mine.
Whose life are we going to change here? Give me a shot in the dark.
Oh, I think probably Aaron Martin probably has the very best chance. I think Timmy Horton is really a dark horse here, and if you don't watch him, he can slip in there and win this thing.
Okay, I'm going to let you keep walking, man. You can still walk, can't you?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much.
Tommy, I tell you what, that gentleman right there would rather win the Masters than another Classic.
Oh, be nice to Bobby Murray. Of course he can walk. Kevin Van Dam, the man in the lead. Those are our unofficial scores right now. Swindle, Cochran right behind him. Yes, and some of those predictions also up there. Tim Horton in the top 10. We'll be right back with more Classic coverage live from Pittsburgh in just a moment. 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic coverage live, continuing from here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Mike Iaconelli, certainly one of the favorites, coming in second place to start this final day. He's all over the place. You even see ads for his book on bus benches, but he is struggling today, and his struggles continue.
Having a tough day, I tell you what. He's fighting a big one here, but that's not the right kind.
No, sir.
Just not the right kind.
Looks a little drummish to me.
It certainly does, and we call those Tennessee River smallmouth at home, so.
Hasn't caught a fish this morning since 7:27. A bass, at any rate, has Michael Iaconelli. Things have truly dried up from him. So that's the latest on the river for Mike Iaconelli. Kind of a dismal situation for him right now. He's really going to have to turn things around fast, especially in view of this leaderboard right here. Kevin Van Dam on top now. Gerald Swindle right behind him. George Cochran, boy, they're all right in there, but Kevin Van Dam, the man in the driver's seat right now.
It's so tight, I don't know how to call it. There's another thing on the scoreboard. Jeff Reynolds is still hanging in there for that Classic spot for 2006.
All right, Takahiro Omori won it last year. In the final 15 minutes of fishing, caught himself 2 great keepers. That made all the difference in the world. Last-minute dramatics, wouldn't we all appreciate a little bit of that? Well, we got the weigh-in coming up. It's not that far away, so stay with us. More Classic coverage on the way.
Big one. All right. God, big one. God. Yes. Yeah. God, another one. Yes. Yeah.
Your 2004 Classic champ.
Oh my God, it's the winning fish.
No! Never give up! Never give up! Your Classic champion, Michael Iaconelli!
Boy, the smallest margin of victory in the Classic, well, that belongs to Dion Hibden with 1 ounce. That was a close one back in 1997. Both those episodes we saw previous to that. Mark Menendez, great examples of the fact that anything can happen in the last 30 minutes of fishing in this very special tournament.
You have to fish it through the final cast, Tommy. We're here for one thing, to slide another angler in there on one of those small margins there, but it's through the final cast. You've got to stay in the game the whole day.
All right, Gerald Swindle had the lead for a good long while this morning here in Pittsburgh. Fell out into second place. Let's go back on the water with Swindle, where things are happening again.
He's hooked up again. This was just about 11 o'clock. He hadn't had a keeper in a while, but he's making a charge here. He's fishing a crankbait, I believe. Going to try to get that fish in the boat. Going to swing him up and see what happens. And he bumps him off the gunnel of the boat, and he's in. That is almost one of those type mistakes you don't want to make.
You see that too many times. The fish hits the gunnels of the boat. Swinging in fish is a dangerous proposition.
I tell you what, we're seeing lots of stuff bounce around on the scoreboard, Tommy. Van Dam, our current leader, but look, in number 6, a new name, Edwin Evers, still in the game. Didn't do well yesterday, but there he is today.
Remember what we were just saying about the last 30 minutes of fishing. We're a long way from the last 30 minutes of fishing. What can happen in the last 2 hours? We're going to keep you up on it. We'll be back with more coverage in just a moment. Live on Classic Day, the biggest day of the year in the sport of fishing. There's your scoreboard right now. This is the final day, championship day, and Kevin Van Dam, Gerald Swindle, George Cochran, the group, the club, over 11 pounds unofficially at this point. We're going to take you out on the water. Robbie Floyd is out there. Robbie, I know you have a lot of thoughts. You've seen a lot so far, a lot of fishing. Let's take your temperature right now and see what you see shaping up in this race.
Well, I think it's going to be a tight battle. My final thoughts are, remember Bassmaster Classic number 27. It was Dion Hibden taking the victory over Dalton Bobo Federation member by 1 ounce. The question is, what's going to happen if they tie? It may happen. You know, 2.5 or 2.5 ounces or 2 pounds and a half in between first and fifth place. If we tie, they're going to go to a fish-off between those tying members tomorrow. Kim, what do you got for me?
I tell you what, I'm still sticking with it is wide open. All of these guys are basically within 2 pounds of each other, and it will come down to the dying minutes. So I don't know how these guys are feeling on the water, but I'm excited. I can't wait to see what's happening. Back to you, Tommy.
Boy, I tell you what, Kim, everyone is pumped. We have so much more to see here. The weigh-in coming up at 5:30. We'll be back with Mark Menendez, his final comments in just a moment. Stick with us. coming close to the end of our live coverage here this morning from Pittsburgh, the 2005 Citgo Bassmaster Classic. Mark Menendez, quickly your thoughts on what you've seen so far today.
Well, the Bassmasters Classic is truly the test of the best, Tommy, and it's always testy when you have to deal with smallmouth. Smallmouth are so unpredictable. These guys have done a great job this today, the final day, championship day. It's going to come down to just who makes the right decision in the last moment.
All right, well, you and I are going to leave these guys alone for a while, let them fish on. They got a couple more hours to go. As we say, anything can happen, but you will find out exactly what happens at the weigh-in tonight. That is sure and official. All right, tonight at 5:30 Eastern Time, the Citgo Bassmaster Classic final day weigh-in. For Bass membership information, log on to Bassmaster.com. For Mark Menendez, Jerry McKinnis, Kim Bain, Robbie Floyd, and our entire ESPN2 crew, I'm Tommy Sanders. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Bass Center is coming up next, and man, the things we have seen so far at this 35th Citgo Bassmaster Classic, it's amazing. ESPN's live coverage of the Citgo 2005 Bassmaster Classic, presented by Under Armour, is brought to you by Citgo, Under Armour, and Strength.